Let's do the damn thing.
Oh, you know what time it is. It's time to take it to the Birdland. It's about to go down. Hope y'all ready. Yeah, let's go. Come and roll with me to the Birdland. Friends got to giving you the word, man. Any other BS is absurd, man. Sports talk and they give it to you firsthand. They can talk Terps, they can talk O's. Yeah, they both lit. That's how it goes. Baltimore squad, Ravens and Poe. Better tune in. Here gonna show. Birdland, Birdland, Birdland. BS. Birdland, Birdland, Birdland. BS.
It's all about that BS, baby.
What's up, BSers?
What's up, peeps?
Fred, Scott, Ryan, James, and Drew. Full house tonight in the studio. Riding solo as a group this week. No special guests. For us, it's a little bit of a break.
That gives the people in the chat room a little bit more of a job this week.
Right.
Yeah. We slacked last week. Let's keep it live.
Step up. It's your turn to shine. So we got a lot to cover on this week's show. We're doing something a little different this week. We're going to be doing a mock draft with the Ravens as we're 3 weeks away, gentlemen, from draft day. It's like another holiday here in Baltimore, the NFL draft. So I know everybody out there is excited. Probably a little nervous, too. Which way do the Ravens go? So we're going to do a 4-round mock draft, and we want your input as we're going to do it live here on the show. The Terps men's hoop squad retools while the women's hoop squad running it back.
Yeah.
They got some big announcements on both sides of the basketball squads there. The Orioles get off to a hot start, sweeping the Red Sox.
Yeah. Then they have a reality check.
Yeah, followed that up with a dud last night, so we're going to get into that. I don't know how they're doing so far tonight. In this week's rundown, we're talking national champions, Tatis Jr., Sam Darnold.
Mr.
Incredible, and more. But before we do too much, we do want to remind you, if you've ever been injured at work or in an auto accident and weren't sure who to call, 855-MD-CRASH. The Maryland Personal Injury Attorneys that'll have your back. If you find yourself in an unfortunate situation just like I have, and I've told you a million times, give our team at MD Crash a call right away. We all know the cost of medical bills, lost wages, pain and suffering. That stuff all adds up quickly and can potentially put you in a bad financial place. If you want a team that'll handle your case, big or small, and just give you some peace of mind, save this number now. 855-MD-CRASH. It's 855-632-7274. Be sure to follow them on Facebook for some fun giveaways, including tickets to some future Oriole games.
I mean, it's okay with the number because they should know it by now. They should have written it down by now.
Should have it in your phone by now. The guys that watch this every freaking week.
Yeah.
All right, so like I said, we're going to do something a little different this week. We're going to do a mock draft with the Ravens. But before we get into that, some things that I want to cover. The Ravens had their introductory, God, I can't even say that word. Introduction press conference for Sammy Watkins, which went pretty well. You know, for a lot of people that I guess are skeptics about Sammy Watkins and the fit, and was he like our last resort and just a body to kind of, fill a hole.
Say we did it.
Right. There were a lot of takes that he had and a lot of statements that he made in this interview that I thought were good. But it started with just getting to know Sammy a little bit, kind of seeing his personality shine. I mean, this guy was smiles through the entire interview. He didn't seem like he was just kind of trying to go through the motions and get the interview done. Like, I mean, he answered questions honestly. Now, granted, I understand he's not going to go on there and badmouth the organization and say, oh, well, this is the only option I had, so, it is what it is.
Right.
It's not going to be
But he wasn't being
thing.
a diva either.
Exactly. He seemed to be in good spirits about the move, excited for the opportunity here, seemed to really want to be here, and had a great feeling when he walked into the to the place for the first time. I know he spoke highly of John Harbaugh. He spoke highly of the facilities. He actually compared the environment to his days in college at Clemson. It's just a good vibe when he first walked in. The energy was high.
I mean, it's a place that has just about as much money.
I guess that's true. I guess that is true. But the question, obviously came up about Lamar and how he would fit in this offense and what was the lure of Lamar and playing with Lamar. But he said he had a conversation with Lamar, said that, this is your show, buddy. I just want to be a part of it. And I thought that was pretty telling.
Yeah, I mean, I think, when he also talked about it, he talked about, the reception, stuff like that. And he basically said, look, they've got a running game here, and I want to make the passing game better. But if we're running the ball, I ain't going to complain, especially when we're winning.
Right.
He's like, I want to get this team to get with this team and make it to the playoffs and hopefully the Super Bowl. He's like, but my role is going to be whatever is dictated to get us there.
Right.
And if it means it basically the way that he said it without putting words in his mouth was, if it means less catches gets him further into the playoffs, or gets him another Super Bowl, and shows that he can be that number one in maybe a system that wasn't designed for it, he is all for it.
Right. I don't know if you're going to classify him as a number one or just an important piece. And I think that's kind of how you got to wrap your mind around it, is that the one thing he talked about in this interview that I thought was kind of telling was, obviously we talked about his relationship with Greg Roman, the success that he had in Buffalo with Greg Roman. And he came to the defense of Roman, said he went back and watched himself when he played in Buffalo, and Roman was able to move him all over the field and find ways to kind of just get the ball in his hands, let him be a playmaker. He said the offense is complex, even if it might not look like it on Sundays and you might not see it, right now. He has a good feeling that they're going to open it up even more this season, and adding a piece like him who is familiar with his system just makes that easier.
Yeah, and one of the things that he mentioned with that in the press conference was that when he looked, the wide receivers just weren't getting open. That's something he feels he brings to the table,
right?
Is getting open on a regular basis. And I think you kind of the one that pointed out the quote. We can blame the offensive coordinators, but as players, we've got to do our job, and that's the thing. I've got to go out there and get open. And Brown and whoever we have on the field has got to get open for Lamar. If we do that, he'll be up there with the elite guys we talk about every day.
Exactly, and that's it in a nutshell. Again, you don't have to have that one guy that's going to catch 90 balls and have 1,200 yards receiving. I understand that the allure of that, but that's not how this offense is built. This offense is to move wide receivers around inside and outside. That's why I kind of thought Sammy Watkins was the smarter move out of the three wide receivers we talked about, the Juju, the T.Y., and Sammy, because of that versatility, being able to move inside and outside. And then just having the familiarity with Greg Roman in this offense makes it that much better.
And he also spoke to the familiarity that he had with what I think it was T. Martin, right? That they brought in Keith Williams. Sorry, yeah. Keith Williams. I couldn't remember who it was. So Keith Williams, that he had the experience with, that worked with him one-on-one, right? That knows how he is, and that's one of the things that helped sway him to Baltimore was there's things that he knows, right? And there's things that he is comfortable with.
Right.
He was teammates with former Raven DeAnthony Thomas.
Right.
Yeah. And DeAnthony, he said DeAnthony spoke highly of the organization, good energy, great vibes, and he hopes to bring that same thing with himself to this locker room.
Exactly. Yeah, listen, again, is this the big move that some of us hope for, the splash move that some of us hope for? No. Again, like I said last week, was it a necessary move? Yes. You don't replace or you don't lose a Willie Snead and think your wide receiver core becomes better, especially when you have so much youth and you have a lot of unanswered questions at wide receiver. I know we want to see Devin Duvernay and we want to see James Prochet get opportunities, but there is a reason that James Prochet was a 6th-round pick, right? I'm not saying that he can't work in this offense. We just don't know what we have, right? Yeah. And I know that's kind of why I think we get in our feelings about it, is because we've got this guy that made all these catches in college, and we just want to see how that's going to translate on the field. Adding a guy like Sammy Watkins, who's a proven vet, still relatively young, 27. I get the injury concerns because he's had some injuries. He's only played one season where he's played an actual 16-game season. I just think for the money, this was a smart move for the Ravens. Not a great move, a smart move.
Smart move. Yeah, it got him something else. Like, again, I'm not fully sold on he is the piece on the offense that takes this passing game to the next level.
Right.
I think he could play a role in it, but I don't know that he's that piece that takes it there. So
right. Well, so we got to take a look at some of the potential additions between now and the start of the season. We know the NFL draft's coming up in 3 weeks, right? We talked about last week, are the Ravens done in free agency? Do they make any other moves? One of the things that I kind of alluded to last week, but I wasn't sure on what the date was when free agents won't count against compensatory picks. And I found that out this week. That date is May 3rd. So some of these free agents that we've been talking about out there, some of the pass rush free agents that we might want to see come here,
right?
Probably not going to see them sign here until after May 3rd when they don't count as compensatory picks, against compensatory picks. So I think that's smart. Maybe the Ravens are already working with some some behind the scenes deals with some of these guys saying, listen, here's what we're going to offer you. Here's what we're going to give you. But we got to wait till May 3rd so we don't lose a draft pick.
Right. No, I think it makes sense. And a lot of guys especially guys that understand the business, they get it.
Right.
Right. They don't want you to lose a draft pick either, because if they're here, they want that draft pick to help make the team better too.
Right.
So I think it makes sense. I think it's one of those things that there's a lot of question marks before the draft. Right. There's things that can happen, and I think that's one of the things that's going to play into what we do in this draft. But
well, you bring that up. So obviously the big topic right now that we haven't heard any news from, it's been very quiet, the Orlando Brown situation, right? That's kind of the big elephant in the room. Do the Ravens trade Orlando Brown? I think it only makes sense if they're going to trade him prior to the show. Shout out to our boy Sonny. We talked about it on our live stream last night with him. Yeah. I think if you're going to trade Orlando Brown, you have to do it prior to the draft because you have to have his replacement in place. Right now, the Ravens do not have a starting right tackle behind Orlando Brown. Phillips, in my opinion, is not a starter right now. He's a swing tackle at best. He's a backup. Maybe in a couple years, he's still raw. He can develop into a right tackle. But again, if you're going to trade away a piece like Orlando Brown and you really want to compete this year, we saw how crucial this offensive line success was to how good or bad this offense can be.
And this is the problem. I don't think we have in the depths right now, waiting in the wings. We don't have his replacement. Right. So this is my point yesterday when we were on with Sonny on SCG Sports. Go check it out on YouTube. Great channel and great content. Obviously, we were on last night. But friend of the show, Garnett, called in.
Yeah.
Right. And we were talking about this. And one of the things that I said is we need to be careful because we don't know how this draft's going to shake. Right, we don't know where we're going to be able to pick up a tackle. We don't know where we're going to be able to pick up that next guy, and that's one of those things that if we can do it and make it make sense, okay. But I think you either, to Steven's point, he's going to get traded, but it'll be close to the draft. You either need to do it right before the draft because you know a bit more about how this draft is going to fall out and where some of these guys are going to fall, or you wait until after the draft,
right,
and then it becomes picks for next year,
yeah.
Right. Now you know where you are next year, and I know people are worried and saying, I get it. If you're going to get rid of them, get rid of them now because otherwise you're only getting the third round out of them versus being able to get a first round if you trade them.
Yeah, if you don't trade them at all, that's all you're going to get is a third round compensatory pick.
Possibly, not saying this is going to happen, right? But you give away arguably the top right tackle in the game.
Not the, but one of.
He's a guy that can play both sides. He's
Go ahead with your
versatility there.
I got you.
You give him up. What if he was that one piece that added the additional protection to the line that allowed you to make it to the Super Bowl? I'm not saying this is going to happen.
So I don't disagree with you. That's why I'm saying if you're going to trade him, you have to trade him now prior to the draft so that you get a draft pick in this first round. Because for me, it's a first round or very, very high second round
plus
minimum. Minimum for me to move him because you have to take that pick and then pick his replacement. The good thing is this draft is pretty tackle deep, especially early on in this draft. There's a lot of really good tackles that could fall late into the first round. So if you get a 15 to 30 pick somewhere in the first round for an Orlando Brown Jr., you have to use that pick to have his replacement.
Yeah.
To your point, because if you're going to make a playoff run and you're going to try to be competitive this year, it's crucial to this offense to have a good right tackle in place.
And when we do our mock draft, we're going to talk about some potential guys that we could do that for. My issue is that when it comes down to it, we need to look at what we're doing. We need to kind of say, okay, when we're saying we're going to have his replacement, this is my point. The draft is no guarantee on who you're going to be able to get if the guy that you want is going to be available.
Right.
and what they're going to wind up being. We've seen it before.
Yeah,
First
there's a lot
rounders,
of what ifs about anybody in the NFL draft.
Right. There are a lot of busts, right? My thought is draft his replacement. And I'm going to catch flack for this. Draft his replacement first. Make sure you got the guy. Because what if you get rid of him and you can't get the guy because he's gone? Now you have to say, okay, now what do we do? Now I gotta shift my thought process. And I know that Eric DeCosta's got like 10 different plans, right? Everybody does. You have your draft board for a reason. But my whole point in saying this is I think there's value in waiting, and I understand that what you trade him for after the draft is for next year's draft picks. But if I don't get his draft, if I don't get him and I don't get somebody to replace him, I'm screwed if I trade him now.
See, for me, I think the Ravens have draft plan A and draft plan B. Draft plan A is with Orlando Brown, and draft plan B is without Orlando Brown. I think if it's going to be without Orlando Brown, that pick will definitely be on his replacement. I think if they're planning to move forward with him this year, they won't trade him after the draft. Just my opinion. I don't think they'll trade him after the draft, and they won't draft his replacement this year because they'll draft to other needs. Now, again,
could draft his replacement in like the third, fourth round, somewhere in there. Somebody that's maybe
but a third or fourth rounder. Now, granted, we lucked out with Orlando Brown. He fell down the draft board because he shit the bed at the combine and nobody wanted to take him.
Was it Yonda a third rounder too?
And it worked out for us. I don't remember what round Yonda was. Second, I think he might have been a second round pick. I'm not positive, but either way, like you said, there's no guarantees in draft picks, right? I want as much of a guarantee as I can. I want a first rounder. I want a high second rounder at minimum for Orlando Brown. Just my opinion. There's a lot of things that they have to look at going in. Do they trade up in the draft for a potential playmaker? Right? We've talked about this offense and what it would look like with maybe a second dynamic tight end, or what it would look like with one of these top 3 or 4 wide receivers in this draft. Do you see the Ravens trading up in this draft? Personally, I don't. I think the only guys that make sense to me for the Ravens that they would trade up for would cost way too much capital to move that far up to guarantee that you're going to get one of them. I don't see the Ravens, and it's not the Ravens' MO to
they
trade
don't
up in the
do
draft
that at all.
So I don't see the Ravens doing that. Do they stay put and take best player available, or do they stay put and draft to need? Because how many times have we seen, the Ravens need a safety, the Ravens need this, the Ravens need that, and then they draft an interior defensive lineman, or they draft a cornerback when you think they're going to go wide receiver. We've seen it 100 times.
Right.
But it's also worked out very well for the Ravens. It's why they're one of the best organizations. That's why we're not paid to make those picks, right? But that's kind of the rumblings and the worries and the concerns and the thought process going into every draft every year.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's just one of those things that when I look at the situation and I say, if you don't get the guy that you want, I mean, how many times does the draft every year draft shakes out in some weird way that throws everybody off, right? Last year was the freaking Eagles, right? That threw everybody off with everything. So I think there's value in waiting. I get it. I get why people want to get rid of him before the draft, because you can get somebody, that's somebody that could have an impact this year. But I think you also could be saying, what if he's that piece, right? What if he is that piece? You get everything else, all the other pieces fall into place except for tackle, and he's that one piece.
We just don't know how Orlando is going to react to it either. Like, if he doesn't get traded and he doesn't get put in a position to be the left tackle like he's asked to be, does he come in? Is he disgruntled? Yeah. Is he upset? Does he not perform like we expect him to perform?
Well, I mean, it's to his detriment at that point, right? Because if he doesn't perform, it actually it helps us to an extent, because if he doesn't perform, other teams are going, wait a second, it's a contract year, right?
It doesn't help us as far as trade value, so we don't get anything better for him if he's underperforming.
But he's not helping his own market.
It doesn't help his market, right? So when he goes out there and tries to sign with somebody free agency, he's not making as much money because now he's got character issues. I get that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying there are some questions. Go ahead, Drew. Hold on. Yep.
My feeling with him, and I've been thinking about,
what's up, Justin?
even with him, you still had a lot of suspect play at offensive line in the playoffs. And I know you got to get to the playoffs first and all that stuff. But to me, if it comes with the uncertainty of, do you know if he's going to be disgruntled or not?
Right.
Do you know if he's going to underperform or not? Then, say you could trade him in October before the deadline, and maybe that scenario plays into play. But to me, he's been there this last few years where we've been in the playoffs, and the O-line, and it ain't him and Stanley look better than the rest of the O-line. It's mainly the interior. But there's a lot of times, too, where they even look kind of overwhelmed.
Yeah, well, like I said, I mean, the problem was Orlando moved over to left tackle when Stanley got hurt, even in the playoffs, and they didn't replace him on the right side, right? So the offensive line, as good as he did on the left side, still took a big hit in losing.
By the way, thanks, Steve. He was a third rounder. He was 86th overall for Yada.
Thanks, man.
Even prior to the Stanley thing, though, the playoff games before,
right?
When they were both there,
gotcha.
They didn't look like they were. All right, you can't blame them at all. You know what I mean? Like they're still blamed for the whole line.
Yeah.
So to me, granted, it all depends on you don't give them away for jack shit. That's what we always been steadfast on. But if you can get a first, I don't really see him being like that, being the piece that gets us there.
Right.
He's already here, and we haven't gotten over that.
All I'm saying is you already get enough question marks on the line.
But losing him does not help your case. Losing him and not replacing him.
It does not help your position at all.
Yeah, it does not benefit you in any
In fact,
kind of
it creates more question marks on your line because now somebody that's on the roster now has to move over. Or you're gonna try to find somebody in free agency. I don't know that anybody's out there. I'm not looking in the market. So
go ahead, Ryan.
We also don't know if Stanley's going to be back in time. So
Right.
that's the other big question mark. You could be down Stanley and Brown and be in a whole heap of trouble.
Right, exactly. And I see a lot of guys chiming in, we need O-line help, and that's 100% true. And in my process, if I'm going into this draft as a GM, which I guess, let's get into that, man. Let's do this mock draft. Kind of explain to the fans how we're going to do this and how we're going to set this up, Scott.
Yeah, so guys, what we're going to do is we're going to do a 4-round mock draft right here on the show. Fred is going to be EDC for this, and the rest of us are all his scouting crew. So he's not going to listen to a word that we say. So what we're going to do is we're going to start this by looking and saying we're assuming that Orlando Brown is not traded. One of the cool features on this thing through Draft Network, you pay for it, but you can actually turn on trades. Right? So you can get calls for trades. Now, we can offer trades, but we're not going to do that here. We're only going to look at trades that are offered to us. So the fun part about this is the fact that we're going to get to see who's on the board. One of the things I want to preface for you guys out there, our scouts, right? Is there anybody on the board that you think might go in the top 10 that you think if we're offered a top 10 pick through a trade, that would you be willing to consider the trade if this one or two or three guys is still on the board?
Remember, going into the top 10 is going to cost you a ton of draft capital.
And you out there in the chat, I'll be your voice, so you just let me know who that person is.
Right, yeah. So off the top of my head, right, as far as what makes sense for a top 10 pick in this draft, you're looking at obviously a guy like Kyle Pitts, the tight end out of Florida. This guy is an absolute game changer.
Jamar Chase out of LSU.
The top three wide receivers, maybe you got Jamar Chase out of LSU, you got Jalen Weddle out of Alabama, and then you got the Heisman Trophy winner, Devontae Smith. I don't know if I'm trading up to the top 10 for Devontae Smith. I might go to top 15 for Devontae Smith, but top 10, I'm definitely considering going up for Chase or going up for Kyle Pitts, depending upon what that offer would be.
So we're not going after a quarterback, are we?
Definitely not going after a quarterback.
No.
That's next year.
Yeah.
Drew, anybody out there that I haven't mentioned that you would potentially go up to the top 10 for?
No, Kyle Pitts is literally the only one.
Yeah, Kyle Pitts is the only one that you have on your target for top 10. Ryan?
He's up there, but I don't think I would do it for anybody, honestly.
Anybody in the chat saying anything yet?
We got just calling for either linemen or wide receivers. Nobody's throwing me out any names that I'm seeing yet.
All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start the draft. I got a feeling it's going to be 3 or 4 quarterbacks heavy here in the first.
I'm going to go
picks.
3 quarterback heavy in the first one.
So we'll see how this goes, and then we'll pause it and see where we're at, who's on the board.
And that's the other thing. Every few picks, we're going to pause this so we can kind of assess where we're at, assess what's still on the board, and who we're looking to get, because that'll help if any trade options come up.
All right. So let's go. All right,
Trevor Lawrence, Mac Jones, Zach Wilson, 3 QBs, and then an offensive tackle, and Jamar Chase go in the top 5.
All right, so Jamar Chase is off the board. So one of the guys that I thought maybe if a trade came that we would go in the top 10 for, he's gone. The guy that we all agree on, Kyle Pitts, still there. So still in play, not a top 5 pick, so now the draft capital drops a little bit He's, again, the only one that I'm considering in the top 10 at this point.
Really wanted Trevor Lawrence to drop to us.
yeah, right. All right, let's see how this goes.
All right, Kyle
There he
Pitts
goes. Kyle Pitts.
Waddle gone. Slater.
All right,
And
so we're through the
Surtain.
top 10, and 2 of the top 3 ranked receivers in this draft are gone, right? So just talking about Ravens' needs, right? We know the Ravens have a need at wide receiver. We know the Ravens have a big need at edge rusher. We know the Ravens have a need offensive line, whether that's tackle or not. Now, again, we're doing this draft under the impression that Orlando Brown Jr. has not been traded and is still on the staff, so you're keeping that in mind. Are we drafting his replacement this high and with him on the roster? Or, obviously we have interior offensive line needs, center. I don't know if I'm going center in the first round. I don't even think I'm considering that. There's 2 really good centers that are projected more in the second round, so I think we're going to wait on that.
So I think when I'm looking at this and I'm saying, all right, so let's make the next assessment. Are there any guys out there for our scouts? Are there any guys out there that we would trade up for from 10 to 20 that we would trade up to wind up getting?
So you got Devontae Smith on the board. I don't think we're trading up for a cornerback at this point, unless you guys can convince me otherwise.
No.
You've got a couple of
Steven Seaver's looking at Terrence Marshall.
Terrence Marshall.
Oh, he's
that
later.
early. So he's looking
He
at.
just asked if he's still on the board.
So
I would
yes,
think he was
yeah.
considering that.
So the 3 wide receivers that we're looking at on the board right now are Devontae Smith, Rashad Bateman, and Terrace Marshall are still on the board, but we're a long way away from 27. We're only at pick 11.
So you're still hoping Bateman drops there, huh?
You're hoping Bateman drops. You're hoping, Terrace Marshall's there.
So I will put this out there. There are 2 guys that I think I would say I may trade up for. It'd have to be really good if I'm trading up for Devontae Smith because I think there's more upside to Marshall and Bateman.
It's not going to be a Trey Lance. It's not going to be a Justin Fields. So let's eliminate the 2 quarterbacks there. What do we got?
So that's one. The other guy that I might trade up, and it would be a later round. It would be 18, 19, 20 would be the max I would be willing to go for it. Tevin Jenkins, because now there's your replacement for Orlando Brown.
You're thinking about trading up to draft Orlando Brown's replacement, still having Orlando Brown in the fold and having Jenkins ride the bench.
If the
I'm
offer is
honestly
there.
okay with that.
If the offer is there, yes, because I do 2 things there. One, I sure up that if I want to trade OBJ for something else and stuff down the line, I can. I've got his replacement because Jenkins has played both the left side and the right side. He's played 12 snaps, or I'm sorry, 12 games or 9 games at right tackle. Okay. And he's played 3 games at left tackle. Sorry.
12 meant nothing. He added those together.
So he played 9 and 3. Right. So he's versatile. Right. You can move him back and forth. He gives you that ability to do something with OBJ down the road. And if OBJ does leave, you already have his replacement in the fold.
So
Craig
I'm going to
Zero
counter
says
that.
Jalen Phillips is who he'd trade up for.
So Jalen Phillips is a guy on my radar, potentially at 27. If my wide receivers are off the board, if my 2 guys, Rashad Bateman and Terrace Marshall, are off the board, I'm looking at it. Listen, none of these edge rushers blow me away. I like both guys out of Miami, and I do like the kid out of Georgia too, Olahari. There's a couple other
That was
guys.
the next name he listed. Yep.
Yeah, there's a couple other guys that I'm looking at 27. I think some of these guys will fall. I don't know if I'm trading up for one of those guys.
By the way,
want someone to blow you away?
Need somebody to blow me away.
So
And at home.
Craig brought this up last week, and we didn't mention it, but he said signing Watkins was just a start of the change in talent, getting a true wide receiver, not a number 1 in the draft. A true wide receiver in the draft seals the deal with talent.
Right.
So I think that's where he's going with this. Is you have to get, if you give the talent there and then G-Row doesn't perform, that's fine. So I think the idea of one of these wide receivers is where we want to be.
Okay. All right. Well, let's unpause it and we'll go another 5 picks to see where you're at 15.
All right. So New York
There
takes
goes
Smith, Jace Horn.
There goes Phillips, right?
Darrisaw, and Trey Lance.
All right. So we're at 15. Okay. We still have a good bit of edge rushers on the board. We still got Kwity Paye out of Michigan. We still got Olahari out of Georgia. Both of the wide receivers that we have been talking about at ends for the last month in Rashad Bateman and Terrace Marshall are on the board. But again, you're at pick 16 now. You still got 11 teams to pick before you, and there's a couple of wide receiver hungry teams, Chicago being one of them, the Jets being another one,
Miami
potentially, right?
Jacksonville.
Maybe Jacksonville, potentially. So there's a couple of teams in here. So those 2 wide receivers could go very, very quickly.
And the Steelers, it's the Steelers. They do well with wide receivers. So.
Craig Zero wants the pass rusher that I like from Georgia.
Georgia Olahari, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, so let's see. So Tucker, Wasu, Najee Harris, Tevin Jenkins. There goes Jenkins at 19.
So Chicago.
Justin Fields.
Chicago goes quarterback, takes their quarterback of the future.
Could this mean Rashad Bateman falls to us?
Bateman's still there. Marshall's still there. I'm really liking our position at 27 right now.
All right.
I'm really liking our shot at 27 to get one of these guys. Again, you still have both Pay and Olahari on the clock as far as edge rushers go. I like our position. Let's go.
Let's see what happens.
There goes Bateman.
Good.
Mowering.
All right, so
Etienne.
Bateman's gone. Now you're a little bit more of a panic mode, right? Now, if you really want that top-tier wide receiver, Marshall's the only one left on the board that's a top-tier wide receiver. Now, granted, all the, analytical guys out there are going to point out that, there's more guys in the second round, there's guys in the third round that are good, and there are. But again, when you're talking about rankings, I said this last night on SCG, right? So all of the experts out there put their wide receiver rankings, and you go, oh, this guy's number 1, this guy's 2, this guy's 3, this guy's 4, and so on, right? Those rankings change from team to team because those players fit different schemes and fit different offenses differently, right? So whereas a majority of teams might not value Marshall as high as we do, that still doesn't mean that we should scattered away from drafting him at 27. If we think he's the right fit for this offense and he can be that missing piece in this offense,
Right.
it's important to grab him at 27. But again, you're 3 picks away now at this point? You got 3 teams, Jacksonville being another one, that could potentially take a wide receiver here. So
All right, let's see what happens.
see what happens.
All right, Newsome.
All right, so here we go. We're getting a trade offer. So
Turn your phone off, Drew.
So the Buffalo Bills are offering us a trade, first round for first round, meaning we would fall back 3 picks
to number 30
to gain a 5th round pick. I want to get your guys' take on that. I want to get the chat room's take on that.
And there's another offer there too.
Again, Marshall's the only wide receiver on the board. Are we taking
Are you dropping back 3 picks?
the risk of going back 3 picks and potentially losing out on Marshall
And your 3 picks are going
to
to be
gain a 5th rounder?
are going to be the Bills, the Saints, and the Packers. And the
So-
other option is from the Chargers.
Throw that one away.
So the Chargers are offering a 2nd, a 3rd, and a 7th
For
our first.
That's a decline.
Yeah, I'm not even entertaining that one. So what do you guys think on this?
Are
3
you-
picks to gain a 5th.
Are you considering the Texas offensive tackle that was still there? And are you able to look and see who's left on the board right
Yes.
now?
I
Yes.
would deny
So
both of them.
if you go to counter offer here and we go to hide, this is who's on the board. So we've got the
Laurie's gone.
Ozahari's gone. So Kwity Paye. You got the kid. Now this kid lit up the combine out of Penn State. He's a little bit raw, but as far as speed goes, he was a 4.38 40 for an edge rusher. That's insane.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's insane. So that's an interesting value there. And again, Marshall.
What does he look size-wise, just out of curiosity?
6'5",
257.
and ran a 4.38.
Wow.
That's impressive.
Yeah, that's insane.
God, he was born in 1998.
So we do.
Scott's old.
So we got a couple edge rushers out there. If we make this trade and we fall back 3 spots and Marshall's gone, we could probably still get one of these edge rushers. What's your call? What's your guys' thoughts?
I would take it. I mean, Terrence Marshall's still pretty far down the board. He could still be there too.
Someone's going to pick up a wide receiver. I think either
What's the chat room saying?
Buffalo or the Saints.
They're saying to get Marshall, so I guess they would say not trade down.
What do you think, Drew?
Well,
I know you're a big Marshall guy. So
I don't think that I don't think the Saints would take a wide receiver. Green Bay hates their quarterback, so they're not going to
They're never
draft a
taking
wide
wide
receiver.
receivers.
I don't really think that with trading with the Bills, I don't think they're taking a wide receiver. So I like the trade, maybe counter for a 4th instead of a 5th.
Okay, so let's
That'd
see
be
how
mine,
that
but
do.
I like the trade.
So
Well, they don't have a
so
4th.
down here,
Oh,
you can
well.
see how they're the likelihood of them accepting the trade. So what I'm going to do is going to go
Swap a
ahead
3rd and 4th.
and remove this 5th and now select their third, and immediately it goes to
But you put in our fourth then,
Yeah.
where we trade up.
Okay, so we're moving up 40-ish picks.
That's not bad,
the third.
honestly.
Do you guys like that?
So it gives us 2 third-round picks to play around with, and also
right.
the deal.
I'll let you guys go ahead and do this. So we're going back 3 picks.
Hey, put in the 5th round just to see what it would do. Like, remove our 4th and put it in the 5th. No, I mean, like, yeah. It's they're saying it could. It's green.
could.
It's probably going to come back no.
All right, so let's send the offer over and see what they say with a 5th. Stay on the line. The Bills are evaluating your offer, and it was accepted. Nice.
GM of the year. GM of the year.
We found the glitch in the system, folks.
And there goes Terrence Marshall. Oh, nope. Oh, the Jets want to trade
Don't
up.
ignore that shit.
right.
Ignore everybody. Fuck that.
So a third, a 5th, and a 2nd next year for a 1st. And get out of here, New York.
No.
That's why you're
The Dolphins want to give us a
terrible.
2nd. So the Dolphins want to trade spots with us here.
for
Us go back. They want to have us go back into the 2nd.
We would come up in the 3rd.
Both all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't like either one of them. I'm declining.
I'd
both
rather
of them.
make the pick.
Yeah,
So we're at 30.
Someone might call.
Terrace Marshall is the pick here.
I like it.
What does the chat room
You're my
say?
answer.
Do we go edge rusher here?
Say, just take the receiver. Penn
So-
State guy had no sacks, which is true. The guy from the
Now, that's
from
why I
the
said
combine.
he is raw,
He's
but
a combine.
he could be just a combine warrior, freaking underwear Olympics warrior.
They're I don't think they're caught up on this. They're not saying anything at this point. Just
All right.
no, they didn't want us to take the trade, I guess, but we did that anyway.
But we got it. We got some extra
man.
picks, and we're going to go ahead and
Marshall
take
is what they're
Terrace
saying.
Marshall.
Yeah.
Terrace Marshall in the 1st round.
Andrew
We got it.
Sakura with a Marshall pick.
Nice. I like it. I mean, Terrace Marshall, like I said, he fits the bill. He's everything that this offense needs as an X receiver. And I think having that veteran presence now of Sammy Watkins will help.
Pause it.
And we just got an extra 3rd for a 5th.
Okay.
So we are at
Real life.
We're 10 picks away.
We're 10 picks away. This is where I start getting nervous about interior offensive line. I
Yes.
told you, for me, one of the main priorities in this draft was getting our center of the future. I know a lot of fans out there are high on this Cologne Castillo because he had 2 shining moments in the 2 games that he played, and I agree with you. He had great games, but it's a small sample size, and I'm just not convinced enough that he is the starting center and the future on this team.
Go, James.
Fred, is that also the guy that you like for the cartwheels?
It is the guy I like for the Cardinals.
Landon?
Yeah, Landon Dickerson.
And let me tell you, these Dick names been doing great this year.
So the other guy that it's on my radar is Creed Humphrey.
Go ahead,
Right.
Drew.
I was gonna say what the guy doing the
Cockburn
cartwheels.
and-
he tore his ACL like 6 months ago or
And
something.
he's
like
doing,
that.
doing
He's doing
300-pound cartwheels.
perfectly.
Right. So you got both centers, the top 2 highly regarded centers on the draft board in Dickerson and Humphrey. They're probably going to go here within they could both be gone. They could both be gone at 58. So for me, if we do get any offers here to move up,
I'm looking at him seriously.
I'm definitely looking at him seriously. And now that we gained a little bit more capital from that first trade, we have a little bit more ammo.
A team like Washington could be willing to trade back.
So let's see what
If we
happens.
were offering, we'd be doing that right now.
Right. Let's see what happens. All right. So there goes
Dickerson.
Dickerson, the very next pick. So now you're down to 1 center. 1 center that's
Humphrey's
worth,
going
in
again.
my opinion,
Steven
in the
says he
second.
wants to trade up for the last center.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're not doing trade ups.
We're not doing trade ups unless we get the proposal.
Maybe next week we'll do a full all out.
Yeah.
Jonathan
We're gonna
Carrington
have
says
to.
Stanford has a good athletic center. I don't know where
They
he is on
do.
this list.
Stanford has a good center. Ohio State has a good
Yeah.
center. There are some other guys you might be able to get late in the 2nd round, early 3rd
Andrew
round.
Sakura says he hates all the centers. We need somebody, man. We got to get a snap. Somebody can snap the ball.
yeah.
If you ate all the
All right.
centers, you're not watching, man. Humphrey and Dickerson are the real deal.
Let's see what happens.
Let's go. All right. So here we go.
I called Washington, didn't I?
Yep.
I
So
said
trade
Washington.
up. So we can move up
But
7
Dickinson
spots.
just left.
7 spots
But Humphrey's still
to
there.
guarantee Humphrey a starting center right away, plug and play center right away.
But can he do a cartwheel?
And all it's going to count us is that 5th
Fifth
round
that we
pick
got.
that we
Just
just picked
got.
up.
You're the best GM, right?
I am the best here. Hey, I've been trying to get out of this nursing thing. So Eric, if you got a spot,
go to counter offer for a
Humphrey's there,
second.
You take Humphrey. So counter.
I would,
see.
well, just counter offer. See, make sure look at the whole board.
Okay.
So right now we
Yeah.
just have the offensive lineman up there. So let's look at the whole board. So
Nah, Creed Humphrey.
I'm not taking an interior defensive lineman.
Jonathan Carrington is saying that Stanford center is a 3rd or 4th rounder. So if you do miss here, you would have that.
And I like that. I like that as a backup plan. I don't know if he's a plug-and-play starter right away, but I could definitely see him being a starter in the next year or two.
Shotgun specialist, which would be good for Lamar to be able to be a back in the shotgun.
I agree.
Yeah.
The kid out of Ohio State is very good, too. I can't think of his name right now. Then the other option that I don't know if Ryan's going to be high on this or not because he's a Penn State guy, but a guy when you're talking about...
I was just looking at
yeah,
I was gonna say
a guy when you're talking about adding a legit... tight end number 2 to the ammo, right? We all talked about how much different this offense looked, not having Hayden Hurst out there. Yeah. Pat Freiermuth would be a good pick, in my opinion, if you move out on or lose out on Creed Humphrey.
Yes, but if you're in this position we're in now, make the fucking trade and get your center now.
Okay, I agree with that.
Unless you're going to get the 3rd round center out of Stanford.
You're so many ifs.
We have a bunch of 3rd round picks now, right? We have 2 or 3. What we got?
So we have a second.
Trading,
we have 2/3, a 4th, a 5th, and a 6th.
I would say with us not initiating trades, you may never get another trade call again.
I'm going with this.
I'd go with the trade.
I'm going with this. I want to secure my center because we all talk about how important offensive line is. We know that Ronnie Stanley is now coming back and playing right tackle this year. Now you solidify that center position. You don't have any more question marks on the offensive line. I'm doing it.
Jonathan Carrington says Tommy Tremble is a better tight end from Notre Dame.
Yeah, who?
I don't know about that. Notre Dame's always solidly overrated.
All right, so let's go ahead and take this offer, and we're going to go ahead and draft our center of the future.
Yes, we are.
Wait. We got another one?
It's just what it does when you accept it. So Creed Humphrey is now a Raven. All right, so now we've got
there goes Freiermuth.
We got 2 picks.
There you go.
We got 2 picks in the 3rd round, 93 overall, and I don't remember what the other one was. We got 2 picks in the 3rd round. We've got wide receiver and center in the books.
Yeah.
Still have a need at edge rusher.
Oh, Tremble went.
We always could use a safety, could always use some more DB help. Lord knows, we lose 2 or 3 DBs every year to an ACL or to some sort of season-ending injury. Somebody breaks an arm, something. You want to pause it?
Yeah. We've ran off a bunch of people. It's hard to tell us what's going on.
All right, so we are 1, 2, 3, 4. We're 5 picks away from our next pick. This is what the board looks like. So Quincy Roche, edge rusher out of Miami. I like him as a 3rd round pick. He's projected 89, which is right on par where we're at. And that's a need. We don't have that yet in the books.
Safety out of Florida State. If you wanted to pick up a safety, secure that.
Yeah.
Secondary.
Right.
Steven Seaver says any right tackles on the board. He's also going with the plan of replacing and trading.
Okay. I'm not seeing any tackle depth.
There it is right there.
Yeah.
Hey, Fred, I'm sorry.
Oh, Forsyth. I don't know about this
Jonathan Carrington
early,
also
though.
calling for a safety.
Hey, Fred, I know we all. I personally, right now, I like the running back from Memphis.
You went a different route. I was thinking Sermon from Ohio State.
Oh, having Dobbins and Sermon, both Ohio State guys?
But not do it. I wouldn't want to do that.
No, get out of here.
Because I want my guy fed.
I'll go ahead and
I don't even want
that.
Gus around. So
you might get your pink slips. You start talking like that.
All right.
What's the feel in the chat room? Anybody saying anything?
Got take an edge player. I do like the Miami defensive players.
Yep.
They're calling for a safety.
So Quincy Roche, he's a guy 6'3", 243 pounds, a little undersized.
A little light.
A little light. He would have to put on some weight. But again, I think he's played well in college. He won obviously at Temple. He had the their conference defensive player of the year honors a year before transferring over to Miami. So he played a lot of college football. He's a redshirt senior. So
let's see what happens here because we've got a few picks. So let's see what happens. Might be a trade that comes around or not. All right.
No trades.
I like Roche.
I think Roche makes the most sense because again it fills a need. But unless you guys can convince me otherwise, here's kind of a look at who's on the board.
You got to take the best available player.
Trey Sermon. And you trade away no.
Yeah. All right. Go back up.
Yeah, go back up.
I like Roche.
No safety, take edge from Steven Safe.
I'm right there with you. I think Roche makes sense.
Let's do it.
All right. So we have filled 3 immediate needs.
Which means it's exactly not what the Ravens are going to do.
Exactly.
That never happens.
That never happens. So we are 4 picks away from our next spot. Now we could be looking at some tackle depth here, maybe some more offensive line depth here. We could be looking at a potential safety because we need some help in the, or cornerback.
No safety. We're going to sign Pollard again.
Okay, get out of here.
He looked good in his film.
Yeah, he can fuck off.
All right.
Pop.
Not a whole lot that's blowing me away right now.
Interior defensive line is something you have to keep in mind. 1, the Ravens always draft an interior defensive lineman. 2, you don't know what's happening with Broderick Washington because of the whole off-the-field issue, right? Calais Campbell's probably in his last year. He's going to end up retiring, or he's probably not going to be back with the Ravens after this year. So you're going to need some help there on the interior defensive line. I like Matabwike, but again, you're going to need pieces behind him. You're going to need depth behind him. So an interior defensive lineman is also something to look at.
Because Broderick Washington's going to try for a minor league team soon. So.
Yeah, exactly. He might be playing in the XFL. If that comes back, we'll see.
Got to raise the eyebrow
All
now.
right. Here we go.
All right, so let's get through these couple of picks. 2 cornerbacks go off the board.
Kyle
All right.
Trask.
So we've got an interior defensive lineman out of USC. Let's see what the stats are on this guy. 6'3", 315 pounds. Big boy.
Played the Pac-12.
Yep. Played at USC.
See what the what tight ends are out there right now?
And let's see that offensive tackle right there at 105. See what he's got going
Stone
on.
Forsythe
Yeah,
out of
so
Florida.
Forsythe I like a lot, actually. I was thinking he's more of a 4th-round pick, but this late in the 3rd might make sense, too.
This is our second, 3rd round pick, right?
Yeah, 2nd, 3rd-round pick. So
then we don't have another one till
6'7",
the 6th.
329 pounds. I don't know if he's an immediate starter, but again,
a
if
big
you
boy.
don't need him to be an immediate starter and you can have him behind Orlando to learn for a year, he could be his replacement.
Okay.
I
So
honestly like it.
Do you like that move? Do you want me to look at the tight ends you said, Drew?
tight end.
All right, so let's switch this over. Let's take a look at tight end.
Not a whole lot that's... I mean, there's some guys that
So
are there.
Trey McKitty is a guy.
McKitty's the
Jay
guy that is still.
Tuffle.
It's too early. Probably
It's
in the
too
3rd.
early
Yeah.
in the 3rd for McKitty, but he's a
this
guy I
case-
like.
He could be a 4th rounder.
Yeah.
Mid 4th rounder.
Out of all these guys, I think McKitty is the guy I'd have my eye on most, but again, I think we could get him in the 4th round.
But yeah,
So I think I'm going tackle here
the tackle's fine.
or defensive line. What do you guys think?
Kyle Trask.
Chat's saying Stone. We need tackle help.
I think Forsythe.
I like that name. We're going Stone.
Stone.
Forsythe. We need that stone wall on our offensive line.
Man, we really missed out on that Dickinson, though.
All right, so we got. So what do we got going on here? A trade up potential. So we would be giving up our 4th round and a 6th round to go up
Swapping literally with the
8
Panthers.
picks.
Check the 6th round. 226 and 210. So we'd be losing 16
So
spots
go-
in the 6th round.
Go up 8 spots, go up 8 spots in this round, and go
More
back.
than that.
No,
That's 18.
18. Yeah.
Or 18,
113
yeah,
to
right.
131 to 113.
Right.
So it puts you in the 4th round because the 131 is a late 4th round. So we're early in the 4th round.
Do it because
I think you're doing it.
You
It's-
gotta see what the board looks
I'd
like
say
right now.
do
but
it
yeah.
for this case because we're only doing 4 rounds.
Well, but you're also looking at it's 6 rounds, right? A 6th round pick. Are you really going to be looking at that much different talent?
Shelvin.
16
I
picks.
like Shelvin. I like Shelvin as an interior defensive lineman out of LSU. Although I don't ever see the Ravens drafting 2 LSU players in the same year. They never draft LSU guys.
Go down a little bit.
Got some more edge rush help, which Lord knows we could use some more depth there too, even though we did get one.
We need a cornerback at some point. They always draft a cornerback.
Yep, they always draft a corner. Yeah, there's not a whole lot here that...
Steven Severs says, I say no thanks. I don't know. He doesn't want to move up. No explanation, Steven. just don't want to trade right now.
I will put it this way: I have seen scenarios where we make a trade and there's an immediate another trade offer.
Man.
See if they'll give us both their 6 rounders.
For me, though, that to move up that many spots...
Worked last time.
It worked last time. Click that other 6 rounder. Let's go.
No, what I'm saying is we're moving up 28 spots, or 18 spots to only go back 16 in the 6th.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I think it's a no-brainer.
I think this is a no-brainer.
Well, then see if
ju-
they'll give us more.
If you offer and see if they'll give us the 2020,
Trying to manipulate the system, Ryan.
Well, it's a good system.
It worked
I
for
like
him
it.
before. Why not?
All right, I'm doing that. Even though there's nobody on the board that that jumps out at me,
Let's see if we get another trade
I would
offer.
have
Somebody
totally
else.
gotten that.
I like how he's literally doing he's literally Andy's spot when they do mock drafts. When the other two just bounce off of there, he's like, I already made the trade, guys.
All right, so we made the pick. We're on the clock here at 113. Let's see. So we can get that interior
Steven
defensive
says,
lineman.
take Tyler. He's
Yep.
all said no trade, take Tyler, which that wasn't exactly what was happening.
So Shelvin, 6'3", 362 pounds. You want somebody that can replace two people at one time? That might be the guy. Christ, the guy's got to be a wide load at 6'3", 362 pounds.
Well, I mean, you got to figure. Not only is Campbell going to be gone at some point, but
Yeah.
B. Will's going to be gone at some point too.
Could
So,
very well be.
You know, why not have both these guys sit behind them?
All right, I'm taking Tyler Shelvin here unless you guys can convince me otherwise.
I think it's Shelvin.
Yeah, take Sheldon.
All right, and we're still thinking the tight end in 4.
If we can get McKitty in the 4th, yeah.
So let's look at the board real quick.
Wait.
Make sure he's still on there.
Oh.
Which you should be.
Wait, what do we have?
mind,
What?
man.
Wait,
do we have any picks left?
Do we hit trade for a second?
We don't have any more 4th rounders left.
Oh, did we get rid of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, just hit some random team.
We
down the bottom.
moved up to a second, third rounder.
Yeah, and then go down. Hit next. So
Yeah, we do.
Oh,
have
we got
four.
a
no,
fourth,
that's
so-
that's our pick
Oh,
right
that's
now.
what we're on right now.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we only have a 6 because we gave up the 5th that we got.
So that tight end's no longer going to be there.
We should have gotten 2-6 so we
That's
could trade
6.
it back into the 4th.
So what do you guys think? Do we secure the tight end, even though it's a little bit of a reach, it's early? Or do we go best player available and get the defensive lineman?
Get the defensive lineman.
Okay. I think that makes the most sense. And that's more like what the Ravens would do. Best player available.
We also picked up the one guy. Who was it? We picked up at tight end. This offseason.
Oh, Oliver.
Oliver.
Yeah,
Which
he's
people
kind of
are high
an
on.
unknown, but a lot of people are high on him. But, of course, everybody gets high on anybody that the Ravens pick up.
Or
So.
you never know what
Yeah.
goes on with the guy from Oregon. I always forget his name. The
So
one they put on the
Yes.
So this is. I mean, that's our last pick. So you might as well go to my picks now. We can look at those.
So here's where we ended up. We got our wide receiver in the first with Marshall at LSU. We got our center of the future in Humphrey with Oklahoma. We got a project edge rusher at Quincy Roche. And
User picks. So you got Roche.
yep, we got a backup offensive tackle in Forsyth, which I think, again, having the year behind Orlando Brown makes a whole lot of sense there. And then we get a potential replacement for B. Will or for Calais Campbell or for, Broderick Washington if he ends up off the roster.
I don't hate this. We seal up three holes.
got
Yeah.
my wide
Right.
receivers. I'm happy.
in the first 3 rounds. I think it makes sense. And
How
get
you
some
guys
depth
feeling
long-term.
out there in the chat room? Let us know. Would you be happy?
plus.
Would you be happy with this draft if this is what happens in 3
Yeah,
weeks for the Ravens?
what grade letter? We're getting some B pluses. I think I just heard, right?
I got nobody grading us. That's why I graded you.
Oh, that's a shoe graded B plus. Okay.
Steven Severs thinks we need to keep picking. He says tight end and cornerback in the 4th, and we didn't have any of those.
Oh man.
So that was a lot of fun. That's something a
Yeah.
little different.
Yeah, that's pretty fun.
Hadn't done a mock draft live. Done a ton of these on my own. just
Andrew
playing
Sakura
with the
says, I
system.
love this draft. Hell yeah. So I guess that's an A+ there.
I like it too, man. Like
If
I
you get a
said,
hell yeah, that's an A+.
We'll have to snip that and put it on the show later.
Yeah, there we
on
go.
the
I'll throw
site
that one
later.
up there.
Oh.
Boom.
So, real quick, a few last things to touch on when it comes to the Ravens before we dip into the Shell and Tell segment. Any additions that you think happen through free agency?
I do. I think the Ravens will get an edge rusher, a veteran edge rusher through free agency, but it's not going to happen until after May 3rd, until they don't count against draft picks. I think the Ravens have some things that they're working on. Listen, they still got cap space there. I understand they're still waiting for the Earl Thomas grievance thing to get settled, and that's potentially going to count against the cap this year if it falls against the Ravens. Earl
Thanks,
Thomas
Chuck.
put a post out on social media today that said Cloud 9. It got me in my feelings. I thought, oh, shit. Did Earl Thomas win his grievance? Are we about to get hit with a cap number this year? I don't know. But either way, the Ravens have some money to play with.
That's right,
I
Steve.
do think there's some backdoor conversations going on with the pass rusher. I think that they'll happen.
Yeah.
So we got A-.
We got A-. The only B came from Buffalo Chuck, and I think Buffalo School's great on one of those, tops things. A B is the best score possible.
I
in
like
Buffalo.
it. B for best.
B
I
for
like
Buffalo is great.
Oh, man.
All right, and another thing I wanted to touch on, this is just minor news. I don't know if you heard about it. I'm only saying this because I saw it on social media. The NFL is likely to pass a new jersey rule allowing wide receivers, linebackers, and defensive backs to wear single-digit jerseys this year.
0. They're all going to be wearing zeros.
What are your thoughts on that? I think that for me, this is something that I thought was ridiculous from the beginning. I thought this is something that they should be allowed to do. I don't understand why they reserve those 2 special teams guys and 2 quarterbacks. It's never made sense.
I don't know. The only ones I maybe get is the offensive lineman, so that it makes it easier to say, okay, if you don't report as eligible and you line up on the offensive line the wrong way, like I can see it, but at the same time, I think you should be able to wear any number that you want, period.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. And I don't think you're going to see something where, like,
Dobbins in the number 2.
30 players on one team all switch numbers. Like,
Hollywood
I don't
in
think you see that
5.
anyway.
Do you think we'll see these numbers come back? 2, 5?
Maybe.
If JK gets a new number, I will be buying it. Just
Patrick Queen 8, maybe.
NFL noted.
And Terps.
One sale.
Patrick Queen could be 8, right?
Patrick Queen could be 8.
Could
maybe. No. He's going to have to give up a hell of a lot of number to be 8. Unless they do the whole college thing where they allow 1 on offense and 1 on defense. I don't see the NFL doing that.
Yeah, that ain't happening.
All right, Ryan, who's been out in the chat room, who's chatting it up, and who's giving us the good grades? Only point out those who gave us the good grades.
They stepped it up a little bit this week. They got a B+ for the chat room today.
I like it.
All right, so we got Dominic Henson was the first one in the room, giving out that award there. Kamal Porter, Joe Shipley, Steven Sievers, who said he got to ask Sammy a question on his Facebook Live.
I did see
saw
that.
Has yet to tell me what that question is, even though I asked him.
He asked about Jimmy's how he liked Baltimore crab cakes. That was his question.
Nice.
Then Stephanie Summers and Chuck Summers were in. I'm not sure. I can't tell if he was just using the wrong account or if we got the whole family watching.
Whole family's watching. I like it.
Buffalo Chuck gave us the B.
Sounds like the Shambles.
Then we got Sharon Sherry checked in, Jonathan Carrington, Travis Whitfield, Red, White, and Dew, Craig Zero, who's calling Scott out saying, do you remember my question from last week?
I brought that up earlier.
So Craig Zero missed his question. Sorry, Craig.
I brought that up earlier. That was the question about with what did I say? What did I say the
Craig,
question was now?
Worldwide security, Craig.
This when he was talking about getting draft, number 1 wide receiver in the draft or a top wide receiver in the draft. At that point it's a sealed deal. It seals the deal with talent, and at that point it's Giro's responsibility to create with the new coaches a new passing game.
Gotcha.
Also, the question is, Craig Zero, are you old enough to get the reference of Craig Zero, top security worldwide? I need to know. Thoughts on saying the wide receivers not open with Sammy? I think we also covered that earlier as well.
Yeah.
Justin Marshall, who self-admits he's been missing in action, but he's welcoming himself back to the fold.
Appreciate you coming back, Justin. I haven't seen you in a while. Hope all is well with you and the family.
And Andrew Sakura. That's about it.
So Steven brings up the point, and I wanted to ask you guys what your thoughts are on this. He says, I'll be very upset if Dobbins switches numbers. I have his 27 jersey, right? So a lot of people, you invest a lot of money in these jerseys. These jerseys are not cheap. Especially if you get the quote-unquote authentic jerseys from Nike. These things are a couple $100.
They are. And if he
don't
does
even
that,
have real
it's
letters.
real easy if he goes to number 2. You just unstitch the 7.
But then the 2's off center. It doesn't look right.
Then it's one of a kind.
Honestly, I look at it the other way. I hope he changes his number because then you have a collector's item that said, I bought this year 1. I was on board. And you all have the number 2 jersey.
I have a Marlon Humphrey signed 29 jersey, and it irritated the piss out of me when he switched over to 44.
You need to look on the bright side where I'm at. You got a collector's item,
That's
bro.
me being a negative Nancy, right? I just think negative about it. But no, I thought that's an understandable point. And obviously, Stephon Diggs even thought so because he made it public today because he thought he was going to go back to number 1, which is what he wore at Maryland. He made it public today. Nope, going to stick with 14. Fans invest a lot of money into these jerseys, and I thought that was kind of a classy move.
Also, Chuck just confirmed it is a family affair. Both of them are watching.
Right. Nice. Drew, you are on mute, my friend, so you muted.
I'm going to stop talking after this.
Thank God.
All right, Ryan.
Off of mute after the draft. I thought we just went straight to the draft.
I don't know what's happening. He's muting, he's unmuting. Golly, mid-conversation. What do we got, Shell and Tell, this week, Ryan? We got a big announcement that we haven't made public on the Birdland platform yet. Why don't you go ahead and share the good news?
Yeah, big news on the Shell and Tell side. We have a new partner in town. The new partner is a big-time sports writer for the Terps, Mr. Ahmed Ghaffir. He was a top football guy for 24/7 Sports. Yep. Also worked for Sports Illustrated on their Terrapin Central site. And now he's got his own thing inside the Black and Gold, paid website type thing. And he reached out and wanted to join our podcast and, be kind of like the insider part of it and be our basically third head.
Yeah, pretty exciting move, man. Ahmed was the first one to give us some national notoriety. For anybody that follows our Shell and Tell podcast, he worked for Sports Illustrated at some time, shared our Ellis McKinney interview on his Sports Illustrated publication, which was pretty exciting for us. And then for him to have him reach out to us about wanting to be a part of the podcast, it makes us feel good. It's very humbling. And super excited. We put out our first episode with him a few days ago. So again, for you Terp fans,
Turtle.
Ghaffir the Turtle.
Which is his Twitter handle, and that's a great Twitter handle.
That is pretty good.
It's pretty epic.
I was like, Fred, the episode name's obviously Ghaffir the Turtle. He's like, okay. I'm like, that's his Twitter. He's like, that's a good Twitter handle.
That is pretty good.
Pretty epic Twitter name.
What's better, that or Terps BS Bert?
Nah, Ghaffir the Turtle.
All right.
Definitely Ghaffir the Turtle.
Takes the win on that one. All right, man. So let's talk some men's hoops. What's going on?
Oh, men's basketball has been a lot of fun. We have rumors that the coach has been extended. We don't know how long. We don't know how much money. But we do know it's probably true because the same time those rumors came out, a transfer portal whirlwind came through the town.
And that's what we were worried about was how was this contract situation going to affect potential transfers? Some of these guys that are still on the squad that have the extra year of eligibility, are they going to come back? Are they going to leave? The uncertainty around the head coaching spot with Turgeon needed to get cleared up. And although it hasn't been announced officially yet, I think there's a handshake agreement in place because now we're starting to see these moves.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to find out the numbers. That will come out in time. It's public information. He's a public employee.
Right.
So we'll see that. Again, everybody's mostly focused on the buyout numbers to see how far this has extended us. Because if you're just giving him $3 million a year guaranteed in perpetuity, then we're in the same spot always, and we might just do this forever.
Right.
So we just got to see if that numbers came down so that we can either be excited with our coach and stick with him, or be in a better spot where we could move on if it doesn't go well.
So you guys do you think they're going to give him a little bit more per year and then
the guaranteed money is going to drop significantly?
Reduce that buyout money.
Yeah, that's what I would expect to see.
Yeah. All right, so we talked about the deficiencies of this squad this year. We know it's no secret, right? They needed size. And, we've got some incoming guys that will add. We got a 6'9" guy, a local guy that's coming in that's going to add some size inside. But we needed a proven guy, right? And there were some names out there being floated around. Well, we landed one not too far down the street.
I see you avoiding that name. I'm going to give it a shot.
Do it.
Qudus Wahab. I don't know.
Better than I would have done.
He's announced his commitment to Maryland. 6'11" center out of Flint Hill High School. I don't want to say his name wrong. Man, looks scary. I'm glad to have him in the center for the Terps. He's finished his sophomore season registering 12.7 points and 8.2 rebounds per game for the Hoyas.
So if you're looking for a comparison out there, I guess best comparison I could give you would be a Diamond Stone. I think he's very similar in stature. I think he'll be even very similar in production. And
hopefully not quite as big a head case, and we're good to go.
Hopefully not as big a head case. Now, my uncle is a huge Hoyas fan and was sad to see him go. Spoke very highly of this guy. Obviously, he watches their games every week.
They've had a rough go, man. Their whole team's been transferring out for the last 2-3 years.
Things are not looking good down there in Georgetown. Georgetown hasn't really been a good competitive squad since like the Allen Iverson and Alonzo Mourning days. It's been a long time since Georgetown's been a big powerhouse in college basketball. But this was an immediate need for the Terps, somebody that can come in and make an immediate impact. I love the move.
Yeah, it's a great move. We talked all year about how we didn't have a true center. If we can get Dante Scott to move to an actual 4-3 at some points,
right,
then that'd be great. We've talked about that before, but he was playing our true center for most of the year.
Right.
I mean, Galen Smith gave us some good minutes. I would like to see Galen come back at this point, because if Galen is a backup and can give us 5 to 10 minutes and show me this pretty hook shot of his, he could be in a lot better spot than what we were like trying to depend on him last year.
Right. Well, the thing you got to keep in mind, though, is scholarships are going to be at a premium at this point, right? Because you still have a lot of guys that could potentially come back. We know Eric Ayala. We know Aaron Wiggins. We know Dante Scott. These guys are out there testing their value. But if you're a realist, I think majority of them, from an NBA perspective, will be potentially coming back. Now, if they want to test their waters overseas, I think any of those three can be successful and start their professional career overseas. But when you're looking at some of these potential rankings out there that, some of these national pundits are putting out with this Terps scoop squad going into next year, maybe that excites these guys to want to come back and compete for a national title.
So what I'm hearing, and I could be wrong out there, but is that if Morcell or Galen Smith come back, it does not count because both of them are in a spot. We are full up right now. With this and the Fats Russell commitment that we are going to talk about next, we're full of scholarships without anybody else decommitting. We both expect at least one player to decommit.
Yeah.
So we'll have another reach out into the portal. But from what I was hearing, that they could come back and it would not count against our scholarships because of this strange fifth-year eligibility that the NCAA has granted. So they're basically free.
Any player that's coming back on a fifth-year option, this extra year of eligibility.
I think it might be for your own team because if you had all these commitments from freshmen coming in and your squad was going to be full.
So if Daryl Morcell, which that's another announcement that we need to talk about, right? Daryl Morcell did go public and say that he's basically checking all the boxes. He's
Every box. My man's keeping his options open.
He's going to keep all his options open, and I think that's a smart move for him. Why wouldn't you at this point, right?
Smart kid.
Yeah, he's graduating college. He's got the potential for NBA prospects. Doubt that that's going to happen. More than likely, if he's going to do anything pro, it would be overseas. But then he also has the ability to go out there and play for maybe a national contending team if he wanted to. This is a guy that was a defensive player of the year in the Big Ten. You can't tell me that there's not a team out there that might think that they got a shot at adding a guy like that to their squad and could potentially be a national title contender.
And the only thing with the NBA that also sticks out of my head is that we don't really understand the G League at this point. Like they've changed it so much recently that they're putting money into it that wasn't there before. If there really is, like, I know they're paying high schoolers that have potential to come to the G League.
Right.
But if there really is, like, we just want to win a G League championship and, like, we're going to start televising the G League more and getting more money out of it, then Daryl Morcell might be able to make decent money in a place like that now that they're actually pumping the Gatorade money into it. Before, it was nothing. It was just, I really want to get into the NBA. So you got that. You got across seas. He also said that he's put his name in the transfer portal, but is leaving the option open to come back to Maryland. He just wants to see what all is out there. Now, this could
Smart
just be
move.
He didn't want to get a bunch of hate from Maryland fans, which I'm pretty proud because as soon as I saw the announcement, I'm like, everyone's going to burn this bridge. Yeah. All these idiot Terp fans that I complain about on Twitter all day long are just going to be out there going, why would you leave us? Who are you think you are? All that stuff. Thank God that didn't happen.
I think he's too Maryland, and I think he's too Maryland proud, right? He's a guy that this is where he grew up. They made that whole story that was great, very well done by Maryland on their Twitter. But I don't know that he's that guy. I think he's keeping his options open and seeing, okay, what are my prospects? What do things look like in the international waters? What do things look like elsewhere? If it's the transfer portal, could it be a national contender? But at the same time, if he can come back and just increase his draft stock, if he comes back and blows it out of the water again, you could be talking a little bit more about him with an NBA potential.
I see, for me, even if he comes out there and duplicates what he did this past year, or even does better, he's just not offensively talented enough, and he doesn't have the size for the position that he plays.
Well, what if he takes his offensive game to the next level?
That would have to be a big jump from what he's at currently offensively. Just my opinion. This is no knock on Daryl Morcell. Daryl Morcell is a great player. Just the NBA game is a totally different game than it is in college.
The NBA just doesn't play defense, so they don't value it.
They don't value it, exactly. And that's where he brings strength. And I think overseas...
But if that's what he's doing, if that's what he's kind of saying, let me figure out a way to get my offensive game better so I can take myself to the next level.
More power to him.
Right. More power. He's come, in my eyes, leaps and bounds over the past several years, right? From where he originally started.
He's grown a lot.
Right. And that's my point is... He could
more
grow
maturity
more
than talent, but yes, more
but
maturity.
The maturity can also translate to the court awareness, right?
Yeah.
It can translate to things like that, and he can make shots, it's just it's opportunity. They aren't always looking for to pass in the ball to make the shot. Second off, it's because he has missed a few times. I think it's just if you give him time, he's going to have a chance to make himself better, whether it's here or somewhere else. I'd love to see it here.
I think it's smart. Like I said, even if he just goes, because knowing that he's not going to get drafted, if he goes there and tests the waters and listens to the scouts and what everybody tells him, if you want to be an NBA player, go get your extra year of eligibility, and this is what you need to work on. This is what you need to improve your stock for a potential NBA future.
Right.
It makes a lot of sense for Marcel.
Yeah, and then while we're here on this image, we got Troll Mariel behind you. That's the lone decommit so far. So that's where we're at with that. Of course, we got Morcel's keeping his options open. I would be sad to see him go to another college that wasn't in the Elite Eight this year. It has to be for like a legit contender,
honestly,
and I can't see it.
I don't see him going anywhere as far as another college.
Yeah.
I just don't. He's too Maryland through and through, Baltimore through and through.
But why not go out there and see what people think about you?
I get
Receive phone calls from the coaches. But I agree with you.
Makes you feel good. I just don't see it.
He got enough praise throughout the year from some coaches. Maybe there is a coach in a top 10 team in the country that's saying, you know what, we're one piece away and you could be that piece. Yeah. He doesn't know if he doesn't put the option out there. So I don't blame him.
Well, the other piece that you kind of alluded to, another piece that was missing from this squad was a true point guard. Eric Ayala, I know you're a big fan of Eric Ayala. I like Eric Ayala, but I think he's more of a two guard than he is the traditional one. We go out there and we fill another need with this new transfer we're getting from Rhode Island.
Yeah, Rhode Island transfer Fats Russell. It's a 5'10", so he's this
Small
Maryland
guy.
point guard that we've been rolling with for a little bit here.
Right.
5'10", rising senior. He was eligible immediately. Russell averaged team highs 14.7 points, 4.5 assists, 1.9 steals per game, along with 4.5 rebounds. So the dude's active at 5'10". That means you're getting quick, you're getting following your shot, doing some things, and that wasn't even his best season there.
Right. The only concern I had with him when I looked at his numbers, I watched a little bit of his film, and when you watch him, the tape doesn't lie. The kid is electric. He finds open space. He takes good shots. He is a court general. He's a court leader.
Very Cowan-esque.
Very Cowan-esque. The only thing that he lacks is great three-point shooting. But he was also the single talent on that roster. So he was getting the best defenders. He was getting doubled at times. So coming into a squad where they can't zone in or can't lock in on one player could increase his shot, ability.
And if you're freeing up Eric Ayala to have those open looks, to be less of a focus point, to be able to put that ball up more. Right. Eric Ayala is a hell of a shooter. I mean, his freshman year numbers were crazy. This year numbers were really good, even though we had to work more in the point position. So again, I alluded to it. This year, third team Atlantic 10. Choice after making it his sophomore year, he averaged 8.8 points and 2.9 steals per game. And
18.8 points.
Don't know what I said. 18.8 points and 2.9 steals per game. That's pretty dang good as a sophomore. So, again, last year wasn't his best. They were focused more in on, like you said.
Right.
Here, hopefully, he can be more of a, there's some equals around him that they can't do that.
And he'll get better quality shots. Well, those two guys, though, as you mentioned earlier, fill up the last two remaining scholarships that we had. Now, like you said, we do fully expect one other chip to fall, probably to the transfer portal. We're not going to release that name just yet, but we do expect one more spot to open up. So
no, we don't expect anybody that's really going to crush us. Let's put it that way. You're not going to cry.
You're not going to cry, but either way, it's a piece that,
Hopefully
There's a bunch of names that just ran through my head.
I'll be crying with you if it's somebody else I'm thinking, but the one we're thinking about, we're good.
Right.
Quick note, women's basketball, again, this is like...
It's not a quick note. Let's go on this, man. This is a huge, huge ordeal for the women's squad.
I mean, women's basketball is returning all of their seniors. Again, this is
every one of
back to the thing. If you're keeping your own players, the scholarships aren't counting. Because
they have powerhouse next year.
Because if your scholarships counted, they wouldn't be able to do this because the Terps are stocked every year. Brenda Free's got the commitments locked up for 3 years.
Right.
We're all full up. So they kept 3 seniors returning. They returned Angel Reese, who really wasn't that big of a part of this early, and has showed she's one of the most talented players
100%.
in the country. Mm-hmm. This team's going to be a top 5 team.
100%. You got to think this team was a Sweet 16 team during a year of COVID, during a year that they were thrown together.
And that was underachievement because they were better than that all year.
Exactly. I mean, they lost 2 games during the regular season.
Number 1 offensive team all year.
Do you think this team
They scored 111 points. I couldn't score 111 points in 40 minutes by myself. Just shooting shots.
Men's national title and women's national title. Let's go.
One of those is more realistic than the other.
Do you think this team could go wire to wire?
I mean, we just
Undefeated?
saw that's nearly impossible.
When I say wire to wire, I don't mean completely undefeated. Wire to wire means you lead the whole
Big
way.
Ten?
The Big
100%.
Ten, yeah, 100%.
You lead the Big Ten, and I'm also saying you lead the NCAA.
So you're the number one ranked team all year. is
All
what you're
year
saying.
long.
I don't think they're a start number one is be the
Yeah.
problem. You still
After
got,
week 1.
No. They're going to play a powder puff
just
week
don't,
1.
They don't get to play the other people to control their destiny. Do you know what I mean? Like
Right.
they're not going to play the UConn, the Baylor, or whatever. So like it'll be all up to like the judgments. We're going to play Big Ten and we're going to roll.
I think they have a chance to duplicate what they did in the regular season by only losing 2 games. But what they're going to be able to do in the tournament with that kind of continuity, playing together more and having it's just
And the experience from this year.
team could very easily, they could have been a national title team this year. They could have been a Final Four team this year.
They got caught
next year.
sleeping against
Yeah.
Texas.
They did. I mean, they shit the bed against Texas. I like their chances for being in the Final Four national title potentially next year for sure.
Yep, absolutely. Big news for us. We got tickets to a spring game.
Heyo!
We're going to a real event. Well,
Nice.
Fred's going to opening day baseball. I passed on it. I just like real opening day baseball. I don't want to see the half thing, but
So did you already get the tickets for Saturday?
yeah, we got 12 tickets available.
I might take you up if
For
you have
multiple,
some, if
I'm
you have
sure
one.
we'll have spots available. Hopefully the weather's good. We'll definitely be there. We'll fill some spots up. They're doing pod seating.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. What do they mean by pods? Does it just mean that you can only have so many people in an
No,
area,
it's
or
legit. So they were only selling groups of tickets in 4s or 2s was the only way you could buy them. So I have 3 groups of 4.
okay?
We're all going to be 6
So I'm
feet
going to tell you
away.
this: you're going to get a preview on Thursday of what this pod seating looks like because it's the exact
I mean, are
same.
you physically in a pod, or are you just
No,
in
no,
a
no,
4-seat
no.
grouping?
It's just they're
it's
closing.
their way of calling it a group
Okay.
of people.
So
Yeah.
that's why I was
And they're
asking.
closing 3 rows behind you so that you're 6 feet away vertically and you're 6 feet away horizontally. They're closing 6 seats. So it's a very
And if you only
spaced out.
buy 3, you go into one of the 4 pods.
But then everybody's going to be on top of each other in the bathroom and at the concession line.
exactly.
So whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
So the rules came out. We were a little bit scared what's going on. You know, pod seating, interesting. So I got 4 here and 4 across the aisle here. So we yelling at each other, and some 4 up here. So we'll see if we're in a crazy L or what we get to sit like. Maybe I'll rotate.
Well, the other big question, especially for us, is we like to get there early. We like to do a little tailgating. Unfortunately,
No tailgating. You know what that means? Bentley's is gonna be jacked.
Bentley's is going to be lit
Bentley's.
for sure. Let's do that.
Yeah, and the ads still circle the lower bowl. So even though I did get to go mostly to my happy place, we are in section 7.
Not quite as far down.
Yeah, we can only get to row Q.
Okay.
So, and we're E and F in the regular season, so it's a little bit further up. But we'll see what that view's like.
So let us know if any of you guys are going down there. First of all, let me know a couple of things. Let me know who's going down there for the opening day for the Orioles and who's going down there for the spring game. If you're looking for a ticket, we got limited available, so let us know, and Ryan will pick maybe 1 or 2 of you that can come down there with us. Let us
Or
know.
if it's raining, 12 of you.
All right, Scott, it's time for this week's Liquor Stop Brew of the Week. And what did Jerry and the boys hook us up with
So
this
I
week?
like this week's theme. This one is from Peabody Heights Brewing Company, which we actually had Peabody Heights last week. We had their Plankton brew. This is Old Oriole Park beer. It's a Bohemian, 4.5%. This one, in their words, Peabody Heights Brewery is located on the site of Oriole Park 5, which is also known as Terrapin Park.
All right, let's do that.
It was home to International League Orioles from 1916 to 1944, and at the same time, the Baltimore Elite Giants of the Negro National League from 1938 until the Great Fire burned the wooden stands to the ground in 1944. Come visit it and enjoy some baseball history and some great beers. This is a typical Bohemian.
All I heard is the Terps are fire. That's all I heard.
Winner of the Comptroller's Cup, Maryland's best craft beer.
Yes.
Interesting.
So it's a true Bohemian. If you've never had a Bohemian, Natty Bo is a natural Bohemian. It doesn't taste far off from Natty Bo. It has a little
very
bit,
similar to Natty Bo.
It has a little bit of a craft, edge to it. There's a little more hoppiness to it.
High priced Natty Boh.
Yeah,
High quality Natty Boh.
High quality Natty Boh.
High quality. High quality.
But I will say, I know we can't really show it. Ryan, you might give us the best angle on this. The front of this can is pretty cool. It's like an old baseball, from back then. A picture that comes from
the best
true
ballpark the Orioles ever played in, Terps Park. I had no idea until today, but that's my official opinion.
There you go. The only time
you
that Ryan will like the Orioles.
You want to feel old for a second? Camden
You were
Yards
there?
turned 29 years old today.
I was saying, Fred was
Camden
in this
Yards.
black and white photo. That's him right in the back.
Yeah, there I am. Hat backwards and everything.
Yeah, I know it's that old, Fred. I've been to every single opening day
29,
except for last
man.
year.
I heard that this morning. I'm like, Jesus, 29 years.
Yeah.
I remember being there on that opening day. It's just incredible that
The
was almost 30 years
giant
ago.
ribbon across
Yeah.
the field.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. And the orange carpet that came from that year that they continue to use. So great to see. But
get down to Liquor Stop. Tell Jerry Birdland BS sent you. Get your 10% off. All right, Scott, it's time for some bros, bows, and O's, and we got some exciting things to talk about with this Orioles team as we're now into the 5th game of the season. We've officially completed 4, 3 of which up in Boston started pretty damn good.
Sweep.
Yeah, sweep.
A sweet sweep against the Red Sox, right? 3-0 to start the season. They moved to 3-1 yesterday, but they're still first in the AL East, right?
Yeah.
Only one. They were up until yesterday. They were only one of 3 teams. Somebody might have to check me on this if this is still true. Up until yesterday, they were one of 3 teams that were undefeated. The Astros and the Phillies were also undefeated. I don't know what the outcome of those 2 games was yesterday for them, or if they even played, or if it's today. It was my foot.
I know what was happening there
with me. But no. So the Orioles, obviously, the season opener, it was delayed on Thursday due to the rain. And instead, they wind up playing on Friday.
I was all excited for that, too. I was like, God damn it,
Yeah.
I got to wait another 24
Well,
hours.
the worst part about it was okay, it's April 1st.
Right. Is this a
When-
fool's
when-
trick? April Fool's trick?
When's MLB going to go, just kidding?
Yeah, right.
April Fool's, and it didn't happen. So we're going to get into this. I want to talk more about the Boston series because there's a lot that happened. But let's quick hit what happened last night for everybody, Fred, and kind of just give them what happened in the debacle.
Before we bring
night.
everybody down, we
Yeah.
got to say happy birthday to Alex Duvall, apparently going to the Orioles game this Saturday for him.
Nice,
Oh,
man. Happy
happy
early
birthday,
birthday,
man.
Alex.
So
If
I
you
had
see
to
it down
cut you
there.
off before we got to the depression on the birthday wish.
I don't know how old you are, man, but if you're down there and I see you, come say hi. I'll buy you a beer for your birthday, man. Happy birthday.
All right, man.
That's awesome. After the 3-0 sweep in Boston last night, a little bit more of a reality check as we go into the Bronx, lose to the Yankees 7-0. I will say this, though, as good as the pitching has looked, Jorge Lopez looked good in this game until the 5th inning when obviously the wheels fell off. He ended up giving
You can blame Drew. That's when he turned the game on.
Yeah,
Fuck
right.
off. He has
That
to
is
watch
Drew's
it.
issue.
He didn't watch a game. He didn't watch an inning of
I go
baseball.
1 home run. It is not my fault.
Well, let me tell you, Mike Stanton, Giancarlo Stanton, whatever you want to call him, didn't miss an ounce of this ball. I mean, he hit it with everything he's
He'll
got.
be hurt by May 1st.
That's true. That is true. But he is, oh, man, I don't know if you watched any of the Yankee games prior to the Orioles or watched any of the highlights, man. The Yankee fans are absolutely relentless against Stanton. The minute that he strikes out or swings at a bad pitch or anything,
it's boo central.
it's boo central. That's terrible. I mean, you got to know that going into New York, that's just going to be what the environment's like. But golly, well, then he turns into the hero last night, hits the grand slam, which I don't think's landed yet.
No, straightaway center too.
And you're going to lose most games when you walk 7 batters. Like, that's something that the Orioles had avoided doing in the first series against the Red Sox. They didn't give any unnecessary base runners. Well, they give 7 in this game.
Was there anything in your eyes to be happy about in this game?
I mean, I guess the
bright spots?
one bright spot got to be the Rule 5 pick and nephew of Ben McDonald, Max Scroller. Is that how you say his last name? I don't even know how to say his
I think
last
it's
name.
Soroller, I think.
Soroller, okay. He made his MLB debut last night. This kid's a 36th round draft pick by the Philadelphia Phillies in 2016. Didn't sign with them. Ended up being a 5th round pick in Cincy in 2017. Never pitched above A ball until last night. Pretty impressive for him to go out there. He comes in at a bases loaded jam with 1 out. gets Aaron Judge, one of the more intimidating hitters in all of Major League Baseball, to strike out. Gets the following hitter in Aaron Hicks to pop out.
Not a bad hitter either.
To end the inning, right. And, I mean, listen, the kid looked nervous. You could see that even when he said in the post-game interview, he came off the field. He said, I don't even think my feet touched the ground. I finally got to breathe when I hit the dugout. You could see that a little bit in his face. But when he got calm and he kind of relaxed a little bit, his splitter looked really good.
It did.
According to StatCast, the Yankees swung at 7 of them, missed on all 7. That's 100%.
That's impressive.
That's 100%. That's pretty impressive. Goes 2 2/3 innings, no hits, no runs, 2 walks, 4 Ks. Pretty damn good for a guy that's playing against the New York Yankees in his major league debut, had never pitched above Class A.
And the 2 walks, I think one of the 2 he took the 3-2, and he missed one. I thought he should have gotten the 2-2 call. He didn't get it. It goes to 3-2, and the 3-2 is just a little bit further outside, and obviously he's not going to get that call if he didn't get the last one. So I was impressed by what I saw out of him. Happy, young guy, and to never pitch above A ball, to come in and do what he did against this intimidating Yankees lineup. It's not just one guy; it's several guys. I mean, it's almost this entire lineup,
right?
That usually kills the Orioles. So for him to come in and do what he did, it's definitely happy to see. So there is a lot to be happy about, though, with the Boston series.
Yeah.
Right, because we start the season 3-0 against the Red Sox. It is the Red Sox. They didn't do so well last year, but there's some decent guys on the Red Sox roster. This is the Red Sox.
They were projected to do a hell of a lot better than we are.
Yeah, we know it's all early, right? But some feel this is a sign that things are moving faster than what we thought. And this was prior to what happened in the Yankees, but the fact that the pitching looked the way that it did, the hitting looked the way that it did, some people think that, well, wait a second, you've got the farm system jumping up so quick, right? Because now I think the latest projection was we moved from 6 to 5. Now you have some of the starting pitching coming around, both through your draft prospects and through free agency. And you've got the hitting, which is happening. These guys scored so many runs, and not one run in the Boston series was off a home run.
None yet at all.
Exactly.
For the Orioles. Yeah, I'm not going to get too far ahead of myself. I'm not going to get too high on those 3 wins. I'm not going to get too low on the loss last night. I like what I've seen so far, especially from the starting pitching, because some of these starting pitchers that have been out there, Matt Harvey, I mean, like I said, we're just trying to get as much out of him as we can to trade for a potential prospect, right? John Means pitched about as great a game on opening day as you can pitch.
5 Ks, no walks, and 1 hit, which was to the first batter. 18
Fucking
straight
amazing.
outs.
Might be the best opening day performance since Sutcliffe at the opening day for Camden Yards in 92, right?
Yeah.
Pretty impressive. And some of these guys, these starting pitchers, are guys that I don't know are going to be part of the future when some of the big names come up, when some of these guys that are just starting to scratch the surface might be up in a year or two. So any kind of good production that we can get out of these guys is good. But again, John Means pitching as well as he did, that was a great sign.
And the thing about Means too is this one, he talked about it in his press conference afterwards. This one meant so much more to him. This went so much to him because last year he missed out on it because of everything with COVID, and then after his father passed, right? And he had some struggles last year. He recognized that, but for him to bounce back the way that he did and seven strong as hell innings, some of the best innings of baseball we've seen. Yeah. I think after 7, I think he was at 89 or 93, one of those 2 numbers of standout pitches.
I think he was at 93.
Yeah, okay,
he got pulled.
You're right. So 93 pitches,
which is a little high, I think, for your first start. But I think he was on such a good rhythm they didn't want to pull him early.
But 7 innings. I mean, that's 7 innings.
No.
Pitches
I don't mean 93 pitches in 7 innings. I mean 93 pitches in general. I didn't think that they would let John Means throw that many pitches. Yeah,
when he's going that hot, you don't mess with it.
You let him go.
But Harvey did okay. He throws 4 2/3, 6 hits, 2 runs, a walk, 4 Ks. So not a horrible line in that game.
The thing I liked about Harvey's performance is the velocity was decent.
Yes.
His control was decent. He wasn't catching the middle of the plate too often or anything like that. So I'll take that kind of performance out of Matt Harvey.
And then the other guy from the starting pitching side of things, Bruce Zimmerman, he looks good and has some potential. I mean, goes 6 innings, gives up 4 hits and 1 walks, right? Or 1 walk. He has 5 Ks. He did give up the 1 homer and the 3 runs, but still 6 innings pitched, and he was at, I want to say it was 58 pitches.
It was low. It was
It
low.
was real.
All
I
of
looked
these
at it, I was
guys
like,
were
what?
all of these guys were super efficient. Out of those numbers that you just mentioned, the thing that jumps to me off the table the most: John Means, no walks; Harvey, 1 walk; Zimmerman, 1 walk; 2 walks in 3 starts. That's damn impressive.
Yeah, you're hitting the strike zone. You're painting the corners.
What do you got, Drew?
It's just 3 walks in the Boston series until it came to New York. and
Right.
It just can't
That's
stop
why I said
walking.
7 walks. You're not going to win any of those.
And
games.
sticking with pitching for a quick second before we look at the offensive side and the fielding side, the bullpen it didn't really have to put in much work, but they didn't look bad either, right? Tanner Scott, he goes an inning, 2 walks, 2 Ks. He gave up, kind of the most walks throughout the time. Newest addition, Adam Plutko, looked pretty good. 2 1/3 to 1 hit, 2 Ks.
Not expecting a whole lot out of this kid, but he did pretty good in his first start.
No walks
or
there.
first
No
appearance.
walks on that one. Cole Salser, he looked good. And Drew, to your point, he's a setup man. He's a 7-8 man.
Oh.
2 innings pitched, 1 hit, 3 Ks. What did you see, Drew?
Well, I didn't see it because I was so busy over the weekend. But
We won. You didn't watch those games.
yeah,
so-
well, it happens when you're stuck in a shitty situation. We don't want to go over it. No, I liked what I saw out of him last year until he was in that closer's role. When he was in the closer's role, it just did not click. But when he's in a setup role, and hopefully that's where he stays, and they don't get desperate and have to throw him back into there.
Yeah.
I'm fine with him in the setup role.
Okay.
I was gonna say, yeah, they definitely made up for the walks with the 7 walks last night.
Yeah.
Kramer's looked good. I can't remember who said it. Kramer looked good, but then he allowed 4 walks
Tonight?
tonight.
Oh, wow.
He got in a lot
That's a
of jams, but
problem.
when he got in a jam in the 3rd inning with a lot of walks, and he struck out 1, 2, 3.
That's
so he
good.
still shows a lot of promise. But back to Plutka with him looking good the other day. He came in tonight 3 scoreless.
Oh,
There you
wow.
go.
That's
Like
great.
1 or 2
Yeah,
hits.
it's
I can't
exactly what
remember.
you want to see. And
That's
the other
great.
thing was, we saw our first look at the other Rule 5 guy in Tyler Wells.
Yeah.
1 inning, 1 hit, 1 walk. I'll take it. And I'll tell you what, we may have found our new closer, in my opinion.
Ugh.
Cesar Valdez.
Just don't be salsa. I'm all right.
2 innings, 1 hit, 1 walk, 2 Ks. You didn't like what you saw out of him?
Hey, listen, he got the job done. I didn't know. I didn't like he doesn't have closer stuff. I like
don't think
him.
They have a closer.
That's the problem. See, I think Tanner Scott can be the closer of the future. He just has to hone his control in. You can't be walking guys. You can't be putting people on base unnecessarily. That's the only reason he's not the closer. Man, if he could hone that in, I think Tanner Scott is the prototypical closer for this team moving forward in the future.
We have confused our guests here. So Justin Marshall asking if we have an opening day ticket for him or what. We aren't balling like that. We don't
No,
have
I
opening
wish.
day
No, he had
tickets on the
12
side.
tickets to the Terps game.
Yeah, it's the Terps spring game. So that's April 24th at 12:30. If you want to come to the Terps spring game, Justin Marshall, I'm your man, but I ain't got no tickets to opening day. Sorry, boss.
Oh, man.
Jimmy
Man. I did see. So there's before we get into some of the other guys, one of the things I did want to bring up, Alex Cora and the Red Sox, real class acts in this series.
Yeah.
Because of what they had to say about Trey Mancini and his return. Alex Cora in the Sunday game, where they had already gotten their butts whooped twice, gave Trey Mancini a lot of credit. He said he can hit 330 or 180. He's the comeback player of the year already. I know there's other guys that are going to come back from injuries, but to do what he's done after cancer, you can't beat it.
I don't think that there's any argument against that, and I have a lot of respect for Alex Cora in saying that.
Yeah.
I even had to like a Yankees tweet today because they put a tweet about Trey Mancini out. And, got me the heebie-jeebies just trying to think about doing
He's
that.
going to get a lot of praise, and I think media in every series that he makes. And the further he goes into the season, it's going to be a bigger deal.
Right.
That he's sustaining, and the leukemia is not coming back. So it's a
Yeah.
great thing. And then the hugs at first base from some of the players they showed.
Yeah.
Just class act situations, and exactly what you like to see. And he didn't do well. He didn't do too bad. He didn't do like overly well on the offensive side of the ball, but he did average, right? I think he's hitting like 250, 260 right now. It's not horrible. But I think I saw Alex comment out there that you are. No. I think Alex commented before about Mully.
Yeah, wait for the ass kissing. Then.
There it is.
Ryan,
You knew it was
you're on
coming.
mute. Fred, I'm liking your guy Mullins so far, and he looked good. What'd you see, man? What
everything that I've been clamoring for. Now, granted, I think the big difference, obviously, is him committing to being a left-handed hitter and getting away from the switch hitting thing, like we talked about.
James
a couple
brought that
weeks
up
ago.
too, yeah.
Right. I think that's big for him. He's seeing the ball good right now. He's spraying the ball all over the field. I've always liked what he's shown, even at the major league level, as an outfielder. But what I really liked about Mullins coming up, when the couple times that I got to see him in the minor league level, is filling that leadoff role. The leadoff role that we haven't had a true leadoff hitter since Brian Roberts. That's the potential that I saw in Mullins. It's not that I thought he's going to come in here and be a 10-time All-Star and, set the world on fire, but I thought he could give us some stability at the top of the lineup, and that's why I was disappointed there for the first year and a half of his career, the little bit of ups and downs that he had. But he's starting to see the ball good. I mean, you can't hit the ball any better than he is right now.
No, I mean, in the first 3 games, he hit .692. He was 9 for 13 with 3 doubles, 4 runs, 1 strikeout, 1 walk.
Yeah.
He's doing his job as leadoff.
5 for 5 on Sunday, 6 times on base in that game. I think he had 3 doubles in that game. All 3 of his doubles came in that game. I mean, again,
great.
Love what he's doing.
Go ahead,
James.
I think Mullins' fielding glove is bigger than he is.
He's a small guy, but hey, man.
He's got a 12-inch glove for sure. It's a 12-inch glove, no doubt. The other guys that I wanted to bring up, last year's most valuable Oriole, Santander.
Yeah.
Continues to do well despite the oblique issue that we saw in spring training. As of Monday, I don't know if he played. I don't think he played yesterday, and I don't know if he's played tonight. But he was 5 for 13 with 4 RBIs. He did have 3 Ks, but I'll take 5 for 13 with 4 RBIs because he is tied for the, I think, second place when it comes to RBIs, and he's tied with the other guy I wanted to bring up, in McCall Franco. He's 3 for 16 now, but still 4 RBIs. So he's bringing guys
making
around.
his hits count, which is important, right? You need to get the runs driven in when you're getting guys on base.
I love watching his hair flow around the base, by the way.
Especially when you're not hitting any balls out of the ballpark. They're now, 5 games into the season, or almost 5 games into the season, haven't hit a home run yet. Santander, though, the thing with him is there was a lot of talks prior to the season about him potentially being traded. Well, all he's doing is building his case and building his value even higher, that if somebody does come knocking, again, they're going to have to blow my socks off in order to get him in a trade, in my opinion.
The casting couch is over there blowing their
Bro, blow my
I'm just going to keep doing it.
blow my socks off and 12-inch glove.
12-inch
Both got me.
We got a bunch-
12-inch glove.
We got a bunch of
glorious.
12-year-olds sitting in this room that are drinking and shouldn't be.
Look, and I don't mean this. I don't mean this as a jerk, but Alex Mullins has been leading off the whole time.
Yeah.
I think
Like,
I think he's asking, should he lead off?
Is there
he-
any other option,
He
I
should
guess?
never lead. No one else is, and especially with Hayes
Yeah.
being in the IL, he's not losing a spot in the center
And
field anyway.
even when he was healthy, Hayes hadn't shown anything yet
Yeah.
this year hitting the ball.
But-
he did good in spring, but not.
But to Fred's point, there's 2 jobs of a leadoff hitter:
Yep.
get on base and get around the bases. Right, you have to make contact and you have to have speed, and he fulfills both of those roles. That's why he's got doubles and he's hitting strong hits. One of them potentially could have been in summertime, could have been a just over the wall home run.
And the thing that I compared his game to, again, similar to Brian Roberts,
Right.
is Brian Roberts' ability to spray the ball line to line.
Right, and he can do that.
And he can do that.
I'm sorry. I'm like, I forget who said it like a couple years back, but the leadoff hitter, it's only one time start off the game. After that, everybody's a leadoff hitter that comes up to the plate.
Truth.
It doesn't matter.
No, so then
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you as a baseball person that's not true. The reason your leadoff hitter is
That's a negative nowadays with analytics and all.
You
this.
have to have a table setter for your better hitters. You got to have a guy to get on base consistently in front of your big boy hitters. And if you've got just anybody hitting in front of those guys,
Yeah,
the
but
chances
it's only-
are they're going to hit a lot of
it's
solo
only-
home
it's
runs.
only one time of a game. After that, like in the National League, you have a pitcher. Your pitcher can lead off the inning. I really don't care for a leadoff hitter.
It's
Well,
important.
so then you're saying that it
You're-
doesn't
you're
matter
too
who's batting
focused-
number 9.
You're too focused. you're too focused on the leadoff in the start of the game.
No,
what
you
I'm
need
saying,
your middle lineups, what does the most damage because they're going to be there.
Yes, they do the most damage,
but you got to have guys that get on base in front of them.
Yeah.
That's the point.
You can
That's
either
where,
have
that,
no matter where it
you can
starts.
have Mullins.
But
If Mullins
no
doesn't
hit
get on
the ball, you're not going to have anybody on base anyway. So
right, which then becomes around that
but
it's
you only have one time of the game.
because,
No, it happens.
Because to make your statement and turn it around on you, the thing that you just said, if nobody's hitting,
I'm bringing stats. I'm going to bring stats next week of the leadoff hitter, how many times he gets on base out of the whole game.
Okay,
you can decide.
You can do that, and I'm going to suggest that you also go look at the number 9 batter, whose job is to turn over the lineup, is to do the exact same thing.
They put
the exact same
worst
thing to hit the
player
number.
at the bottom.
In Little League,
No.
in Little League,
Scott was right at that. I'm going to get loud enough to be right moment just now. He was bringing it back.
I went up and I came back down.
I was about to get my popcorn. Go, Drew.
I'm gonna get inside joking a little bit, but just because you're louder doesn't make you correct.
Yep, there it is.
Oh, man. All right. Yeah, so listen.
Makes me feel heard.
There's a lot of reasons to like Mullins, and he's
Yes.
doing everything right now. He's being that complete player
I
that
want
we
to pull
hoped he would
for him
be.
in the worst way. I really do like him.
Last thing I did want to ask before we kind of wrap this up. Obviously, Thursday, it is open day. We are 2 days away from Orioles opening day at Camden Yards.
Partial opening.
Partial opening. Two things. One,
I
what
count
are you
for like 2 seats?
Right.
So it'll be 11,001.
Number one, what are you most looking forward to on Thursday? What is it, Southwest Airlines now?
Ding.
Number one, what are you most looking forward to on Thursday? And number two, how weird do you think it's going to be?
Hey,
Oh
don't
my
wait.
God.
First off, don't sell yourself short. All right.
Also,
I fit in this chair nicely. Extra wide.
He's not selling himself short. He's selling himself wide.
Yeah.
Chuck
down.
Summers with the question of the year here.
All right, what do you got?
Where would Crush bat if we had to play him?
For the Hamilton Little League.
Yeah. No. No. Is the answer to that
He
question.
can take his bat and be standing there while his bullpen pitchers are throwing. That's what he can do.
Be a fucking
Bat boy.
cheerleader.
Bat boy.
Man. So what are you most looking forward to, and do you think it's going to be weird on Thursday?
I'm just looking forward to being down there again. You know, to be off free. I can't tell you the last time I didn't go to at least 10 games in a season, right? So last year was just strange not being down there in the summer. Opening day, like I said, is always a holiday around here. The entire experience from the time you get down there until the time you leave. So I'm looking forward to all of it. As far as the game itself goes, I don't know. I think I'm excited to see the youth. I'm excited to see some of the guys. Even the fact that, like, Austin Hayes went down with an injury. You bring up a guy like Ryan McKenna who's starting to get his, first at bats down there. I'm excited to see some of these guys that might be a part of the future get a shot. And then what was your other question?
And you think it's going to be weird?
It'll be weird, yeah. 11,000 people on opening day to go down the orange carpet and all that stuff, seeing an empty-ish stadium.
By the way,
a more realistic Orioles stadium on opening day is going to be weird.
Saw the seating chart. Everybody's literally going to be spread out through all 3 levels.
Wow. I mean, that's
I don't
what
know
you're
that it's
supposed
good.
to
It's gonna
do.
be weird.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be massive gaps.
Yeah.
It's literally what he was talking
It's
about.
going to
with the
look
Terps.
like a normal Orioles game. Because unfortunately, that's how many fans.
At a
we have
normal
there.
Orioles game, all those people are in the lower seating bowl.
Yeah,
that's
it's
true.
going to look like
Hey,
the
Fred.
first inning before everyone rotates down
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
good seats.
Hey, Fred, just to let you know, since you're going to be taking up 2 seats, you'll be able to get the food faster for opening day.
Nice. That's true.
There you go.
That is very true.
Ah, man.
All right, guys, it's time for this week's rundown. I'll start this week's off. Fernando Tatis, we're keeping on a baseball theme here,
Yeah.
right? Fernando Tatis Jr. just signed a huge contract, right? And the other night goes down swinging quite literally. Tatis corkscrewed himself into the ground after swinging on a pitch and hurting. I don't know if he hurt his wrist.
I heard
if
it today.
He hurt his elbow.
He hurt his.
It looked bad.
He hurt his actual shoulder. They are calling it a shoulder separation. He was having an MRI this afternoon, and if it is a shoulder separation and he needs surgery, he will be out for the season.
They put him on the IL at least today.
The 60-day?
No.
Probably put him on the 10-day.
10-day
They put him
IL
on the
for now.
10-day to see what it looks like after 10 days, but I don't think he's playing the season
You-
because
you-
he's had it bothered him all spring.
Right.
Yeah.
This is one that hurts not only the Padres, this hurts Major League Baseball. I mean, this is one of your faces of your product, right? This is when you talk about Major League Baseball trying to redo their image and trying to be more popular to a younger generation. Fernando Tatis is that. He is the star power of the young generation. So to see him go down with an injury like this, it sucks. But this is a risk as an organization that you take when you sign these guys to these guaranteed mega deal contracts. We talked about this a lot. These things can happen. It's just really, really unfortunate. And I hope for the Padres' sake and for Tatis' sake, this doesn't affect him long term with his career.
All right, let's stick with the MLB and go to James. James, what was your topic for the rundown this week?
My topic for the rundown was three friends that went to the same high school that all got drafted in the MLB. That actually started in the majors this week, and that one pitch for the. Where's my notes right here? Sorry about that.
One pitch for the Braves.
Kind of catches off guard because usually it goes around the room.
Max Fried for the Braves, Jack Flaherty for the Cardinals, and Lucas Giolito.
Wait, is this the Italian in the room that just fucked up?
I was just about to say the same thing.
He ain't Italian. So, anyways, but it's pretty impressive. They all came from the same high school. So they said 10% of it. Of the starting opening roster, for opening day, that made up of them. So they all played on the same high school team.
That's unbelievable.
That's pretty awesome, man.
I want to see that high school tape.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they
team
came
must
out
have
of
been nasty.
the 2012. They played together.
All right, Scott, what do you got?
All right, so my story this week, COVID. As if we haven't heard that.
Ryan, what do you got?
The Vancouver Canucks got hit hard, but by the Brazil COVID-19 variant. They now have 16 players and roughly 3 coaches that have tested positive. Some of the players are symptomatic, and a few are apparently in really rough shape, to the point that some of them are apparently receiving IV treatments for severe dehydration. It's presumably happening at their homes and not at a hospital, so they're not creating any more infections with this variant. And actually, the other part of this is many of the family members of these coaches and players have also tested positive and are also experiencing symptoms. So the Canucks haven't been able to play for almost the past week.
Wow.
They have not been able to play one game for the past week, and the NHL is looking into how they're going to approach this. At some point, you have to consider forfeits here.
Yeah.
You can't make all these games up. You have to consider forfeits because it was exposure based on something that you did. There's protocols in place for a reason, and if you guys are breaking them, unfortunately, there's a consequence at some point.
I was going to chime in a little bit. This is literally the biggest outbreak NHL's had since the whole
It's
thing.
big.
Yeah, honestly,
that was their
out of
point.
all the professional sports, the NHL has done the best as far as keeping it, contained.
Yeah, because they
ice kills COVID.
They did it right to me. It's
doesn't
a
like the
little
cold.
bit. It's a little bit. It can be a little bit asterisk because they're kind of. They only play they play a lot more division games.
Right.
You're not going out to the West Coast and stuff like that. But they set it up so it was a lot less travel, a lot less variance to be able to throw in.
Yeah, it's interesting. So you got the Canucks, now you got the Nationals too that had their outbreak the other day.
Yeah.
So a lot of things going on, even with COVID supposedly getting under wraps.
All right, Ryan, what you got?
Yeah, it sounds like COVID's not quite over, but Sam Darnold in New York is. So Sam Darnold goes to from the Jets to the Carolina Panthers? Wow, don't know what's up there. For 2021 6th-round pick plus a second and 4th rounders in 2022. So not much to give up for a possible starting
That's
quarterback.
a bag of balls for a starting quarterback. Now remember, Sam Darnold's only 23 years old.
He's 23 years old, and honestly, as bad as he's played, we all forget he had his rookie year. And then he had his mono year where he played almost no games, and then he had a COVID year.
And let's
That's all he's
let's
had.
not forget the X factor. He plays for the fucking Jets.
Yes,
He played for
They suck.
days.
Everyone else that played for the Jets and left got better. So we'll have to see what happens here. If he ends up being legit, this is gonna be the worst trade in the history of time.
I saw somebody put out a tweet today that was absolutely hilarious. It was a picture of a Sam Darnold, Le'Veon Bell, and Jamal Adams jerseys, and it was like, I hate you, New York. I will never buy another jersey.
New York's rough. Now, with all that said, those are all the excuses for Sam Darnold. The negatives on Sam Darnold is he wasn't very good at USC. Nobody really knows why he was drafted that way. He had 39 interceptions in 38 games in the NFL
after having drafted that way.
After having interception problems at USC. So it's kind of strange. Now you got the whole Darnold and Bridgewater dynamic. Both of them drafted by different teams. Both of them were given up on early in their career, and now they're battling it out in Carolina. It looks like they're going ahead with assuming Darnold is their starter.
Yeah. So. That'll be interesting. Listen, I'm all for him getting a fresh start and seeing what he does.
Yeah, no ghost in Carolina. He was very excited to be traded. That's for sure.
When you've got a good offensive line, you got a back like Christian McCaffrey
and DJ Moore. They've got some weapons down there. What do you got, Drew?
All right, let's wrap up the match. Nobody
here can talk.
Nobody tonight. Thank God it's not just me.
It's everyone. It's everyone. We're gonna check this for like gas leaks.
Yeah. Is there mold in here? What is happening?
March Madness, unique New York. Okay. Anyway,
Roaz.
Baylor goes wire to wire versus Zags. Dominated them. It wasn't even close. A little bit upsetting. But the Zags did have one hell of a thriller in the Final Four game against UCLA. Yeah. They went to overtime. They had a block that kind of saved it to go to overtime, and then the buzzer beater in overtime.
That means just tell you, I was at the bowling alley watching that game. So I went on a date, went to the bowling alley, right? There was 4 minutes left in the game, and I'm like, all right, let's go into the bar and let's watch the end of that game. And thank God I did, because it was one of the most epic games. That finish in overtime is what March Madness is all about, and it's why college basketball, in my eyes, will always be head and heels above the NBA game.
Fred's flexing us with that 12-inch glove of his.
Shit.
Sorry for throwing you off there.
Women's in Stanford you're talking about.
I want to get to my rant first. Why the fuck are you tipping off at 9:20? Like, seriously, tip off at 8:20.
Yeah. Two West Coast
8:40.
teams.
I don't.
That is
West
what
Coast
it is.
my ass. It would happen at 9:20 when it happens every year.
Yeah, it's pretty damn late.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
It is late. I mean, the Super Bowl, that goes at like 6 something,
and still feels late.
And still feels late because there's halftime shows an hour and a half long.
That's my little rant. It pisses me off because it's just like, what? How was every game kind of? They stagger throughout the tournament. Then when it's like the Final Four games and it's late as shit. It's just annoying.
Yeah.
To our group brackets, congrats to Chris Morgan.
Yeah. So I don't know who Chris Morgan is.
High school friend. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know how we'll figure out how we'll hook up with him to get him the shirt.
Yeah.
But he pulled it off. He beat out second place guy by 10 points.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So that means he got one first rounder better than that guy.
Yeah. So how did we do as a group?
I came out on top. That's all that matters.
Yeah. Who came in second?
I didn't write it down.
Yeah, it was me.
By 10 points. Mind you, both everybody was 300 or more off of that. I was worse.
As a group did not represent Birdland BS very well.
Man, I rolled the first 2 weekends and never got another point.
Yeah.
You guys,
the Illini
you blew your load early.
I did. Not all of us can work our glove as well as you, Fred.
Can't walk away from March Madness without giving a tip of the cap to the Lady Stanford team.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did well.
Lady Trees, I was about to say.
Lady
Stanford,
Trees.
what are they? What is that? I don't know what they are.
Cardinals?
The Fighting Trees.
Maybe it's Cardinals. Yeah, there you go.
It was a good March year. I think it was a pretty good March year.
No rules. No boundaries. 2 topics. 30 seconds each. It's time for the 2-minute warning.
You missed
Fred saved him.
Saved it. I saw it, man.
Sorry, I'm reading the 2-minute warning questions because I didn't look at them before the show.
I haven't looked at them either.
Cheating.
I came up with both of them.
Well, Scott's definitely first if he's
he's going
ahead.
first on this one.
Okay. All right, who's reading the first question? What do we got?
I'll start off. And I'll actually go with. I put it 2, but I'll read that one first.
Yeah, throw off Scott.
A little bit longer winded. With all of the highs and bullshit with Chris Davis prior to the contract signing, though, he was pretty damn good.
Yeah.
So, forgetting all the nonsense since or factoring it all together, do you see him still becoming an Orioles Hall of Famer?
You really just fucking asked that question?
Not. There's absolutely no way. Now listen.
Hey, look, did anybody else come up with any?
He had a couple of good years. He put up a lot of home runs. He will probably go down as one of the most epic failures of ours in all time. But he will by no means be a Orioles Hall of Famer by any stretch.
Yeah, no, I don't even know how you asked that question.
Well, let's just stop it now and go to the first question. Then.
He'll be a Orioles Hall of Famer. Right after Nelson Cruz is the Orioles Hall of Famer for that great contract he signed with the Orioles. Oh, that's right. That never happened.
You and Chuck Summers need to hang out, apparently.
we can get into that Nelson Cruz bullshit in the next segment.
Nelson Cruz still hitting bombs.
Yeah, right, exactly. 7 years later.
So then the first question that really actually mattered. What is your top finish in a Final Four or championship title game?
What is my top finish? So was it 2 years ago? I had picked Michigan and was it Villanova? I had picked both teams correct.
Are you saying how your favorite game ending?
This game ending. The Villanova buzzer beater over North Carolina.
Yeah, that was a good one. The Christian Leitner shot over. That wasn't a title game, though, was it?
Final Four, though. It was the Final
Four, right, over.
The kids have done it is the only correct answer here.
What do you got?
I honestly don't know how to answer this question because I don't remember.
I didn't understand the question,
It's
apparently.
your favorite ending of an NCAA final or four or championship game.
Okay, so you
That's
had
very specific considering, I don't know, there's lots
because they
going
just
on
went
that's
over it. You had Gonzaga with the buzzer beater the other night. You had Villanova buzzer beater over North Carolina.
Right.
You had Michael Jordan hitting a game winner late in a championship game. You've had NC State with a tip in before.
What's Drew's answer? That's what we need.
Yeah, what's
That's
Drew's
fucking
answer?
Villanova or North Carolina.
Villanova,
It gave
North
Jay
Carolina.
Wright his first title ever, and it was a buzzer beater in finals.
I like it.
Okay.
Good answer.
I like it. That was a
He
good
answered.
answer.
He answered for us. I like it.
Yeah, it's cool. Still bring something
Scott.
to the table.
We need to pre-read these 2-minute warning
Yes,
questions,
we do.
apparently.
We do.
I was not prepared.
No, neither was
It
I.
was that fucking hard of a question.
It was.
It's the mold and the gas fumes.
It is. Something's happening
It
in
is
here.
honestly that hard of a question. I'm serious. That's not something you have to think about something like that and know. Okay, what are the finishes? I understand that they just went over it, but I'm not watching it to the point that I'm saying, okay, here's everything that's happened over the
What
past
round
10 years.
those games were in?
Well-
it's this new fish
Wait,
tank.
all right,
You
well,
switched
then,
up
all
the
right,
fish
then-
tanks, and it made us crazy.
All right. We want to remind all you guys, check us out on the website, www.birdlandbs.com. While you're there, all of our episodes, you can learn about us, contact us, get yourself some Birdland BS gear. Check out the Shell and Tell episode with that big announcement earlier.
Go fear the turtle.
Make sure you go check out that episode and all the episodes to follow. BigPlay.com and also BirdlandSports.com. Follow us on all of our social media accounts at Birdland BS is how you find
We can't
us.
talk today.
Like, follow, subscribe, and share. If you want your opinion or topic heard on the show, make sure you reach out to us or use the hashtag that's BLBS. As always, the audio version of the
poisoning.
audio version of the podcast.
What's happening?
Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, wherever you listen, go check us out. Make sure you drop us a review while you're there. Thanks for tuning in. As always, we'll be back next Tuesday night, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. For Fred, Ryan, James, Drew, and myself, we'll see you guys next week.
Need better insurance for the show.
After hours will be held outside.
What is happening? Oh my God! I don't even know what is happening right now.
Just make it up for the
I
lack
think
of
Fred left
hours
his car
last night.
running. It's all
Jesus
coming in.
Christ!
Straight rookie mini camp right now.
That's because Fred parked somewhere different tonight.
Everything. Everybody walked in here was like, I don't even know what's happening. The cars are out of position.
Let me preface this. All this, normally they come in, they park along the street. My wife is sitting in the living room when they come in.
There's three
Listen,
dogs to greet us.
Three dogs saying hi.
Goose is attacking the shit out of me.
As he should. I don't know how you get in here each week, but at the same time. So all of that did not happen this week. My wife has to work overnight. My son is with my parents. The dogs are upstairs in our bedroom right now. Like, these guys, the door was open. They just were walking in. They're like,
I showed up. Fred's car's in his wife's spot. The whole house is dark. I'm like, did I forget that I'm working the second chair today? Like, what is happening? This house is empty. And then I walk down and Scott's here. I'm so confused. This new fish tank's leaking methane. I'm telling you.
Something's happening in here. I thought it was just me for that entire first hour and a half of the show, and then everybody else fell suit with it. I'm like, all right. Yeah. Nobody could get anything out.
Oh, man. I did want to talk about it. I was surprised nobody brought it up. Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah. 400 and some foot bomb
Throws the
while throwing 101.
the fastest pitch of opening day weekend and the highest exit velocity of opening day weekend with a 451-foot bomb.
Guy's an
their new
absolute
balls.
freak.
Dude's awesome, but I wish he played on the East Coast so we'd
I
see
think
him
he's
every
got
now
to
and
pick
then.
one or the other soon enough, though.
What's that? You think he'll have to go one way or the other?
He's going to have to.
Which way does he go?
I think you leave yourself to too many injuries. He was pitching and he went for a plate to plate and got a little bit dinged up the other night.
He's
He
been doing
came
this
back and he
for
played the
years.
next game, but is it really sustainable to keep pitching and DHing?
What if,
hitting?
because of his velocity, what if you see him as a closer and an everyday pitcher or
That would have
everyday
been a lot.
fielder?
That'd be a different.
I've never seen that,
So-
right? You never seen that.
And you lose.
Look, he plays for Joe Madden now, so you never know.
So
like it.
here's the thing with that. If he's DH, you don't technically by having the pitcher hit, you don't lose the DH.
Right.
So but you better be sure. You better be sure he's closing out the game, because if that game goes long, and you have to pull him, he's done.
Yeah.
So you can't use him. You can't use him.
I don't know.
on the
I just
mound.
think, like to Drew's point, I think longevity, career wise, it's less, wear and tear on his arm.
It is, but can you afford in that rotation to get rid of a top tier guy like Shohei Ohtani?
Yeah, I know.
That's the problem.
It's a
He's
tough
so
decision.
good at both positions, and it's been for 2 years now.
Right.
It's not. This isn't a fluke. It doesn't seem.
Yeah, it's like nobody knows how to use him because it just doesn't. This kind of player just doesn't come around.
I
You
like
know
it.
what I
Let's
mean?
keep doing it.
He's
I
a
wanna see history.
multi-generational. He's
Joe
a
Madden will figure
multi-generational
it all
talent.
out.
For sure.
I tell you what, though, I don't know if you guys saw it yet or got to watch it. The Mighty Ducks series on Disney.
Game changer.
It's good.
Mighty
pretty good.
Ducks series. I didn't even know there was a Mighty Ducks
Yeah.
series.
So
Okay.
they did like a little TV show out of it with it's Mighty Ducks Game Changers, and it's like a modern day Mighty Ducks that they build the team, and he owns
Coach Bombay.
Coach Bombay
Yeah,
owns the
Bombay,
ice
yeah.
rink, and then
But he
winds
hates
up becoming
hockey.
the coach.
I
And
hate
hates
kids.
hockey, exactly.
And I hate kids.
Yeah.
It's because he's Emilio.
I was about to say that's Emilio Estevez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure on the rock. It's been a while since I've seen the movie.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So-
Yeah.
I'll have to check that
Good.
out then. All right. Any questions out there, Ryan, that you want us to bring up, or are we good for the night?
No, I think we're good. I mean, apparently Chuck Summers feels bad for Teddy Two Gloves, so that's a pretty interesting comment. But we'll just
Yeah.
have to talk about that off show.
I mean, Teddy Bridgewater, listen, he's proven that he can still play at this level coming back from such a devastating injury. I mean, they thought for sure that his career might be over.
What did Alex say there?
Alex was saying apparently Hyde was quoted as saying they might move him to the 9 spot. But that talks a lot about what Scott was just saying. If they're believing the 9 hitter is the same as the 1
It
hitter.
rolls you around.
It's-
It rolls
exactly.
It's designed to do it that way.
But to James's point, yeah, I mean, once you get to that spot in the rotation, once you actually go through the lineup once, 9-1 really doesn't make a whole lot of difference. 1-7, 1-6, yeah, big difference there. But 9-1, once you've rolled around through the beginning lineup, really
Having
doesn't
the
matter
right
a whole
guy start you off is important, because that guy can set the catalyst for some of those things. Some of these long runs, when Mullins gets on, boom, 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 7 guys go up. We score 7 runs in an inning.
lot. Yeah.
Right? And he comes back around. He hits a double again, right? He
I
keeps
wouldn't
it
hate
going.
it. I wouldn't hate it either way. I think for him right now, especially as hot as he's hitting, 1 or 9, I'm perfectly fine with.
Yeah.
Nothing in between. It's just my take on it.
Nope.
All right, guys. Appreciate it. We'll see you guys next week. For those that are going to opening day, like I said, I'll be down there. I'll be in the Pickles area. I don't know what it's going to look like yet. I'll probably be down there 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning. So come down there. I'll be wearing Birdland BS gear.
I'm not
Say
sure
hi.
what time I'll be down there, because we're taking my son this year. This will be his
Oh,
first
right.
opening day. So I don't know whether my dad's going to get him and I'm going to go down early, or if I'm going to, go through the whole experience with him. I haven't decided yet. So
Well, we should coordinate that. It's like
Yes.
48 hours away.
I'll be at the hospital, so I'll come visit you guys for 30 minutes.